in Konoha. At first, I annihilated the Sarutobi clan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226 New Class 7. What's the problem? Xianglin seemed to understand Naruto's eyes, and the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. Although there was still a soft smile on her face, in the eyes of those who knew her well, they knew it was a storm. There are signs ahead. It's nothing. I just feel like you're not as good as before. Naruto scratched the back of his head in embarrassment, subconsciously blurting out what he was thinking. However, before he could say the word good looking, Sakura immediately covered his mouth. Others don't know how scary Xianglin is, but Sakura, who has been studying medical ninjutsu with her all year round, knows that if Naruto dares to say this, a beating will definitely be inevitable. What happened before? Xianglin narrowed her eyes slightly, her eyes getting colder and colder. Nothing. Naruto just wants to say that you are not as shy as before, and you have become more beautiful, right, Naruto? Sakura covered Naruto's mouth and nodded by pressing his head. At the same time, he whispered in his ear, if you don't want to die, just do as I say. After saying that, Sakura let go of Naruto. Although Naruto didn't know why, but out of his trust in Sakura, he still echoed and said, Sakura is right. Oh, that's no problem. Xianglin put away her dangerous eyes and tightened her grip. The fists in the cuffs also loosened. Well, Granny Tsunade is the opponent you are talking about, referring to Xianglin. Naruto pointed at Xianglin and asked Tsunade. I just said it was a man. How could it be Xianglin? It's him. Tsunade looked out the window. Hearing this, Naruto and Sakura subconsciously walked to the window and looked down. A silver-haired jounin was sitting on the balcony reading a book. It was Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto looked surprised, jumped out of the window, and gave him Jiraiya's latest book just like in the original work. After some useless reminiscing with Kakashi, we return to the topic. Grandma Tsunade, is Sakura and Dai's opponent Kakashi-sensei? Naruto looked at Tsunade in surprise. Sakura also looked puzzled. Tsunade shook her head and said shockingly, no, to be precise, it's you and Xianglin. From today on, the three of you will form the new 7th team. There are 2 medical ninjas in a team at the same time, and everyone's faces are covered with tears. With a puzzled expression, only Jiraiya, Chinatsu and Kakashi knew that this was because Koru, as a member of the Uzumaki clan, had already cultivated the Vajra blockade, which could restrain the tailed beast when Naruto went berserk as a precaution. Okay, that's it, Kakashi. Next, the 3 of them will be left to you. Tsunade didn't explain too much. Send everyone away. In the end, only Tsunade, Chinatsu, and Jiraiya were left in the Hokage's office. As soon as Naruto, Kakashi and others left, Jiraiya's old-fashioned mentality suddenly broke out, and he focused on Chinatsu, who was only 7 years old, but had a good life. Tsunade, long time no see. This is Chinatsu, right? She's really grown up. As he said that, he raised his hand and was about to wipe Chinatsu's head. However, Chinatsu grabbed his wrist, and with a click, Jiraiya immediately screamed, ah, it hurts. You deserve it. Tsunade looked at Jiraiya with disdain and sighed. You guys are really, I have a long memory. I have told you many times that except for his father, Chinatsu will not let any man touch him. Let me remind you, now Chinatsu's strange power is not inferior to mine. Ah, I know, let her go now, let her go, and it will break. Jiraiya wailed, tears almost falling from the pain. Chinatsu, let go. Tsunade said calmly. HMPH. After hearing her mother's words, Kyangsha snorted softly and then stopped. This little girl is really a genius. She has mastered strange powers at such a young age. And the chakra in her hand is far superior to Kakashi. She is indeed your daughter. She is really talented. Leia praised as he rubbed his sore arms. These are no longer important. Tell me, did something happen again? Tsunade changed the subject. Jiraiya nodded heavily and said solemnly, that organization finally started to take action. After hearing this, Tsunade's face became serious, and she looked out the window, thoughtfully. Akatsuki, Fengsi Country, Sand Hidden Village. At this time, Deidara was already fighting Gaara. Just like the original work, because Gaara's sand has extremely strong and fast defense, Deidara's explosive clay cannot hurt Gaara for a while. On the contrary, Gaara's sand speed could not catch up with Deidara's clay bird, nor could it catch Deidara. The two sides came and went, fighting each other in the air, testing each other, and fighting fiercely. The battle continued until sunset and moonrise, with no winner yet. It seems that this Kazakage is still too immature. He only focuses on attack power, and intends to catch Deidara with a huge sandstorm, but he does not know how to use range attacks. If he is like the dead third generation wind of the earth, like Shadow, use Senshijyo to launch intensive range attacks, then it will be Deidara's turn to be passive. Looking at the two fighting in the air, I have to say that this is a quite spectacular visual feast, even watching. After spending 1,000 nights in the original work, one can't help but be amazed. The red sand scorpion said from the side, sand is not like sand iron, it is lighter in weight. If you want to use the high density sand iron Shijyo like the third generation, you need stronger chakra control. With the age of that Kazakage brat, but there's no way to do that. That's right, but then again, don't you plan to see your old friend after finally returning to Tsunagakure? Kai and I looked at the red sand scorpion with a smile. Boring. Z was silent for a while, slightly, turned around and walked into Yakushin, with his back to Kainai and said, Deidara's side is probably almost there. I'll set up a trap, to break off the rear. If you're confident you can escape it. If so, just keep watching. Go. Kainai waved his hand nonchalantly. How could he leave before the most exciting C3 number 18 bomb exploded? While the two were talking, Deidara's left arm had been crushed by Gaara just like in the original novel. At this time, Deidara finally released his current trump card, C3No18 clay bomb. A doll-like bomb made of detonating clay mixed with his own highest level of chakra was thrown high into the sky by Deidara. Deidara used his remaining right hand to form a seal, and the doll-like explosive clay suddenly grew in size. The doll-shaped explosive clay began to fall at an accelerated speed. Artist explosion, drink. About 30 meters away from the surface, Deidara shouted loudly that almost echoed throughout the entire sky. With a bang, the detonating clay exploded violently. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote. Please vote monthly chapter 227. The tailed beast is captured, and Chinatsu travels thousands of miles to find her father. The flame mushroom cloud slowly rose, and in an instant, the strong flames almost illuminated the entire village. Then an even more shocking scene appeared again. When the flames dissipated, a huge sand escape appeared out of thin air above the sand village, almost covering most of the sand village. This was created by Gaara, who almost used up most of his chakra to protect the sand village. Although it protected the sand village, it was also because of this that Deidara seized the opportunity and used the clay prepared in advance to detonate the clay winged bird attack, forcing Gaara to use the sand defense containing the detonating clay that crushed Deidara's arm. The result is self-evident. In the case of extremely insufficient chakra, Gaara was hit, and the sand armor failed to completely defend against the explosion of the detonating clay. He was blown up, and his life was in danger. At this time, the sand village ninjas, led by Maki, who had been acting as spectators below, finally reacted. They began to provide support for Gaara in the air with giant crossbows with detonating tags attached. The result was only a minor annoyance for Deidara. After Gaara used his last bit of strength to move the sand escape technique used to resist the C318th clay bomb out of the village, Deidara successfully captured Gaara. He flew rapidly towards the direction of the narrow line of sky. It's really a very spectacular visual feast. Looking at the clay owl and Deidara flying towards him, Kanai spread his purple cloud wings, flapped his wings, and flew into the sky. Ah, brother Kanai, seeing a black shadow suddenly appear above the narrow line of sky opposite, Deidara was shocked, but after seeing that it was Kanai, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The two people were suspended in the sky above the narrow line of sky. Kanai praised him generously. Well done, Deidara, especially the giant clay bomb just now. It is indeed quite artistic. But you were still careless, and one of your arms was actually broken. I will find a corner to fix it for you later. Deidara blushed. Please excuse me, brother Kainai. What are the purple wings behind you? Kainai said, oh, pointed to the purple cloud wings behind him, and said, nonsense, seriously, you are talking about this. It's just a secret technique I developed casually in the past few years, because I was bored. Okay, it's time to go, and the group of people from Sand Village will catch up in a few days. Kainai said, and flew Deidara to the sky. Finally, he landed in front of Scorpion. Scorpion looked at Zyunai with a little curiosity, but didn't say anything. He turned his eyes to Deidara, stretched out his tail of Filiuhu and swept it, scolding, you are so slow. I told you not to make me wait too long. Deidara barely avoided it and chuckled, you can't blame me for this. This Kazakage kid is really quite powerful. If you don't believe me, ask brother Kainai. Kainai said on the side, I can testify to this. Compared with 3 years ago, Gaara has indeed become much stronger. He is worthy of the title of Kazakage. Since Kainai said so, Scorpion naturally couldn't say anything more. He sighed and said, let's go. I have set up the traps for the aftermath. The leader can't wait any longer. While talking, the three of them put on wind chime hats and slowly walked towards the Kono Kuni stronghold. Not long after the three of them left, a roar came from the direction of Sand Village behind them. Then, Kainai sensed a messenger eagle, which flew out of Sand Village, and flew towards Konoha. Kankuro also left the Sand Village at the same time. He left the Sand Village tracking team, and chased here alone. Kainai paused and looked back in the direction of the Sand Village. What's wrong, Kainai? Seeing Kainai suddenly stop, Deidara and Sasori stopped at the same time and looked back. Kainai shook his head, nothing, I just sensed that an interesting person is chasing me. Deidara said oh, and asked with interest, that's really interesting. He dared to chase me. Don't you want to die? Who is it? Sasori looked at Kainai. One of your juniors, the brother of the one-tailed Jinchuriki, Kankuro, seems to have inherited your 3 puppets. Kainai chuckled. That's interesting. I didn't expect to meet such a cute junior. Hearing this, Scorpion immediately became interested. Kainai, Deidara, you go first. I want to have some fun with this cute junior. Then I'll help you have fun. Kainai heard this, and without stopping, flapped his wings, and flew quickly towards the direction of the river country. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. Looking at the place where Kainai disappeared, Deidara's face turned pale, and he sighed. You are really worthy of being brother Kainai. A random secret technique he developed is faster than my clay bird. Then brother Scorpion, you should catch up as soon as possible. Deidara said, jumping on the clay bird and quickly chasing in the direction where Kainai disappeared. The next morning, it was just getting misty. Kakashi received Tsunade's summons and came to the Hokage's office. This is what happened. Tsunade sat behind her desk, frowning. The Sand Village was attacked by a mysterious man suspected to be a member of the Akatsuki organization, and the Kazakage was abducted. Because we have more intelligence about the Akatsuki organization, the Sand Village officially sent us a notice asking for help. Tell me what you think. After pondering for a moment, Kakashi scratched his head and said, 3 years ago, the Sand Village and Konoha signed an alliance agreement, and when Sasuke defected, the Sand Village also sent people to rescue the Konoha ninjas. We have no reason to sit idly by, and what if Naruto knew about this? That's why I only notified you to come over. Tsunade said with a headache. As a Jinchuriki, I understand that we have common experiences since childhood. But this enemy is no trivial matter. Will it bring losses to Konoha? As the Hokage, I can't sacrifice the Konoha ninjas for the Sand Village. I can go there in person. Kakashi said firmly. At present, there is really no one more suitable than you. Tsunade sighed lightly. It's just that you have fought with Akatsuki before, and you should also know the strength of Akatsuki members. According to the footprints left at the scene, in addition to the Akatsuki member who kidnapped Gaara, there are 2 more Akatsuki members to support. That is to say, your Team 7 is likely to face 3 Akatsuki members at the same time. Are you sure? At this point, Tsunade pinched her forehead with a headache, thinking to herself that it would be great if her little man came back, so that she would not be like now, a headless fly. Kakashi fell into a brief silence. although he wanted to rescue Gaara very much. But if he faced Akatsuki members in a one-on-one situation, he was not sure. Not to mention that there were 2 other Akatsuki members whose strength was unknown. If he went there Ashley, he would probably be killed. This is not the worst. If he ran into that guy Fujiwara Chiya, he might be wiped out on the spot. Just when they were at a loss, a childish and crisp voice suddenly rang beside their ears. Kyangsha pushed open the office door and walked in. Since you are not sure, let me join the reinforcement team. PS. The third update. Please recommend and vote for me chapter 228. Goodbye Tsunade. Chinatsu. Kakashi and Tsunade were both stunned when they saw Chinatsu. Mom, I'll go with Kakashi and Karen. Chinatsu's pretty face was filled with an innocent smile. She walked toward Tsunade and kneaded her mother's shoulders while acting coquettishly. No. Tsunade closed her eyes with a headache and refused decisively. I'm very powerful. Even Kakashi is not my opponent, Chinatsu said anxiously. Hearing this, Tsunade slightly raised her eyelids and saw Kakashi's face showing an awkward smile. He rubbed the back of his head and said that, Tsunade-sama, it seems to be the case. Yesterday, after Kakashi tested the strength of Naruto, Sakura, and Karin, and his bell was taken away, he was dragged by Chinatsu to compete. Although Kakashi did not try his best, Chinatsu's strength was indeed beyond his expectations. For a moment, he seemed to be fighting with Fujiwara Chiya. If he really tried his best, I'm afraid the outcome would be unpredictable. Hearing Kakashi admit that he was not as good as Chinatsu, Tsunade's eyes flashed with surprise, but she still refused. No, you are too young. Why are you like this? Chinatsu pushed her mother's shoulders and started to act coquettishly. It's no use acting like a spoiled child. Just as Tsunade was about to refuse, Chiya's voice suddenly rang in her ears. Just let her go. Tsunade was startled and suddenly changed the subject and said to Kakashi, Kakashi, do you think Chinatsu can go? Hearing this, Kakashi was a little confused for a moment and was silent for a moment, but finally gave a pertinent answer. Whether it is ninjutsu, taijutsu, illusion, or control of timing, Chinatsu is undoubtedly impeccable, and she also has perception comparable to Fujiwara Chiya, which is more useful than any combat experience. Excluding the age factor, I personally think she is capable of this mission. Is that so? Tsunade pondered for a moment and nodded. Okay, this mission will be handed over to your Team 7 and Chinatsu. In addition, considering that the opponents this time are 3 members of the Akatsuki organization, I will arrange for the gay team that is performing tasks nearby to support you. If that's the case, it couldn't be better. Kakashi also breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that there was support from my guy and the other 4. Thank you, Mom. Chihiro happily threw herself into Tsunade's arms. Don't be happy too soon. When you get there, you must obey Kakashi's arrangements. If you dare to act up, you will never be able to go out again, Tsunade warned. Hey. Chihiro agreed readily. Then she and Kakashi were about to follow orders and walk out of the Hokage's office. Wait. Tsunade stopped them. The 2 turned around, and Kakashi asked hesitantly, Tsunade-sama, is there anything else? Tsunade hesitated for a while, and said seriously, I have said before, that the enemy this time is not trivial. As the Hokage, I cannot sacrifice the ninjas of Konoha for the Tsunagakure. Although Konoha and Tsunagakure are allies, your lives are more important than anything else. If you encounter a crisis that cannot be resolved, I allow you to give up this mission. Especially Naruto, he has a more impulsive personality, so you must keep an eye on him. Is that so? Kakashi nodded and said seriously, I understand. Okay, then go. Tsunade waved her hand. Kakashi and Chinatsu turned and left the office. After they left, Shizune finally spoke up. Tsunade-sama, are you really going to let the young lady go? It's not me who asked her to go, but someone asked her to go. Come out. As Tsunade finished speaking, Kainai, who was wearing a red cloud and black robe, walked out of the shadows. Shizune was suddenly startled. Kainai-sama. Hey, Shizune, long time no see, still at the airport. Kainai looked Shizune up and down and greeted her. Kainai-sama, you've really had enough. Shizune's pretty face instantly turned red, and then Kainai said, can you please go out first? Tsunade and I have something to talk about. I see. Shizune looked at Tsunade deeply, turned around and walked out of the office. When did you come back? Tsunade asked casually. Just now. Kainai didn't blush or feel his heart beating, and he talked nonsense seriously. In fact, he came back last night and went to Yuhi Kunoha's place to spend the night. In the morning, he also went to see Hinata to check how she was developing. After finishing these things, he came to the Hokage's office. However, he didn't dare to say this to Tsunade. Otherwise, there would be a big uproar. Tell me, what's going on? Tsunade stood up naturally and gave up her seat. Kainai sat on the office chair, and then Tsunade sat on his lap. Kainai's dirty hands dishonestly reached into Tsunade's collar, causing the latter to be coquettish and chuckled. As you said, I also participated in the kidnapping of the Kazakage by the Akatsuki organization this time. Not only that, before that, I also captured the Five Tails Jinchuriki alone. Why do you want to help the Akatsuki organization do this? Tsunade slapped Kainai's dirty hands away, turned sideways and hugged Kainai's neck, and asked in confusion. Nothing, I just think it's interesting. Kainai smiled. Interesting? Tsunade was a little angry. Yes, it's interesting. Kainai leaned over to Tsunade's face and kissed her lightly. If it weren't for you and Shinatsu, I'm afraid that the Konoha ninjas who had fought with me before would have been killed by me long ago. What on earth are you thinking about? What do you think of human life? Tsunade pushed Kainai away, got up from his arms, and looked at Kainai again, feeling disappointed, unfamiliar, and heartbroken. I just said it. If it weren't for you and Shinatsu, wouldn't you be gone? That's why I didn't do it. Kainai patted his thigh and motioned Tsunade to sit back on it. No, if you don't make it clear today, don't even think about touching me again. Tsunade was full of uneasiness. In the past, the Akatsuki organization didn't do anything big, so she could still deceive herself. But now, even the Kazakage of Sand Village has been abducted. She is very worried that it will be Konoha's turn in the near future. By then, she will confront Kainai head on, and where should she go? Kainai pondered for a moment, and gave an ambiguous answer, probably to witness the future of this ninja world. Tsunade was stunned. What do you mean? Let me ask you a question. What is the most important factor that can unite a group? Kainai asked with a smile. The bond and mutual trust between companions? Tsunade subconsciously spit out words from the will of fire that even she herself did not believe. Kainai shook his head slowly. A wise leader? Tsunade continued to ask. Your eyes have betrayed yourself. Kainai still shook his head, the smile on his face suddenly restrained, and he said in a deep voice, how could it be that kind of boring thing? Of course it's an enemy. P.S. Go to the first update. Ask for recommendation votes. Ask for monthly votes chapter 229 Kainai's purpose. Kainai talked eloquently to Tsunade and fooled around. Since the end of the Third Ninja World War, after years of cultivation and recuperation, the 5 major countries during this period have basically recovered their vitality. Recovering vitality means that what? That is war. If the Akatsuki organization does not appear at this time, I'm afraid that the 4th Ninja World War will break out in a few years. By then, I'm afraid it won't be just those Jinchuriki who will die, but tens of thousands of ninjas and countless civilians. How is this possible? Tsunade lost her voice in disbelief. Kainai waved his hand. Don't rush to refute. Whether you admit it or not, the world is like this. Although your grandfather, the first Hokage, had a good intention in founding Konoha, he ignored human nature. The so-called A world of mutual understanding is just a dream. Even if it exists, it will be temporary at best, because they have common interests. Where there are people, there will be struggles, and where there are struggles, there will be struggles. War, this kind of thing is inevitable. Just like the previous 3 ninja wars, they were said to be for the sake of the village, but in fact they were just for the sake of balancing the interests of the 5 major countries. To put it bluntly, there was no justice at all. Injustice is okay, but if there is a common enemy, it will be different. They will join forces to fight against the enemy. At least in Naruto's generation, it is unlikely that there will be a war in this ninja world. At this, Tsunade frowned, then sat back in Kainai's arms, and asked distressedly, so you want to be this enemy? How is it possible? The peace of the ninja world, the system of the ninja world, the ninjas, my life and death have nothing to do with me. I only care about the people I care about. Kayanai held Tsunade in a princess hug and lay flat on the office, untying her kimono and Akatsuki robe. Then what do you want to do? Tsunade's face turned red and her eyes averted. She knew what would happen next. Kayanai stroked Tsunade's soft hair. There are always self-righteous, ambitious people in this world who want to rely on themselves and use extreme methods to achieve peace. I just need to watch the show from the side. At most just take care of the people under your command so that they won't be killed, except for the Sarutobi clan. Really? Tsunade was overjoyed. She was really afraid that Kayanai would become that unscrupulous person. Of course. Kayanai smiled evilly and rushed forward. Not long after, Tsunade's voice of joy and pain could be heard in the Hokage's office. Of course, other than the usual, Muta was standing outside the door with her pretty face blushing. It was impossible for anyone else to hear this voice. At the border of the Kingdom of Wind, yellow sand raged. The ground was in a mess, and everywhere you looked you could see the corpses of Tsunagaku's tracking troops. Deidara sat inside a desert cave that had been opened up, looking down at Scorpion, who was catching up. It's really slow, brother Scorpion. Don't you like people waiting? But I had a lot of fun. In this era, when puppetry talents are declining, it is rare to meet a junior with good skills, and Scorpio is in a good mood at the moment. What do you mean? Deidara was a little dissatisfied. Forget it, don't be angry. I also want to ensure that your first mission is foolproof. The Red Sand Scorpion changed the topic without explaining too much. But speaking of which, where is that guy Kayanai? He said you probably won't be able to catch up until dawn. You went to a small town in the Kingdom of Sichuan for a late night snack alone. He asked us to go directly to the stronghold of the Kingdom of Sichuan to meet him. He was such an unloyal guy and didn't know how to bring me a share. Late night snack. HMM. Deidara said, so dissatisfied that he took out a soldier food pill from his ninja bag and stuffed it into his mouth. I really agree with his way of doing things. I never want to wrong myself. The Red Sand Scorpion did not doubt that he was there, and the two of them continued on their way. At noon, we finally arrived at the Konoha stronghold. At this time, Kayanai had been waiting here for a long time. The three of them entered the cave. There was a burst of complaints between Deidara and Pain. Pain said Deidara was slow, and Deidara said the Jinchuriki was too powerful. Finally, Pain formed a seal with his hands and channeled the heretic demon. The sealing officially begins. 2 days passed in a flash. Konoha's support team headed by Kakashi finally arrived at Tsunagakuya. The person responsible for welcoming them was Tsunagakuya's senior officer, Maki. The entrance to Sand Hidden Village. Seeing Kakashi and others arriving, Maki immediately greeted them with a smile and a very polite attitude. People from Konoha, I have been waiting for you for a long time. Welcome to Tsunagakuya. Captain Maki, long time no see. Kakashi greeted him affably. The last time we met, it was the Chunin examination, and 3 years have passed in a flash. Yeah, I'm really ashamed. If it hadn't been for your reminder, I'm afraid Tsunagakuya would have been killed by that guy Orochimaru. Take advantage of it. Maki sighed and glanced behind Kakashi sadly. When they saw Naruto and the others, there was no surprise on their faces. After all, Naruto and Sakura were Kakashi's students. But when he saw Chinatsu with a Konoha forehead protector hanging around her neck, he was a little confused and asked hesitantly, who is this? Kakashi said worried that the other party would misunderstand, and hurriedly explained, this is Our Lady Tsunade's daughter, Chinatsu, who is considered the most powerful genius in the history of Konoha. Even though she is young, she is actually stronger than me. That's it. Maki, there was a look of embarrassment on his face, but he didn't take Kakashi's words to heart. To be able to graduate from a ninja school at this age is indeed a genius, but no matter how talented you are, it will take time to grow. Strong ones like Fujiwara Chiya and Uchiha Itachi, who only started to show their talents at the age of 13. What can a 7-year-old kid who just graduated from ninja school do? At this time, Naruto stepped forward, his pupils filled with mist, and asked anxiously, I heard that Gaara was captured. Where is he? Where was he captured? We must rescue him quickly. Bang. Naruto's head was hammered hard by Sakura, and Sakura scolded, "Idiot, Gaara, I'm the Kazekage now. Out of etiquette, you should call me Kazekage-sama. Really, there are no rules at all. I don't understand." "It doesn't matter." Maji waved his hand nonchalantly. "You are all friends of Mr. Feng Ying. It's okay to call him by his first name. Please come here. I'll take you to Feng Ying building first. Details." After speaking, Maki turned around and led the way. To enter Sunagakure village, you must first pass through the Skyline Canyon. There are many Sunagakures ambushing on both sides of the canyon, and even many terrifying explosive devices are installed. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote. Please vote monthly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230. Chinatsu is here. If an ordinary ninja enters, even an elite jonin like Kakashi will probably not be able to escape. Karen, who was born in Kusagakure village, walked while observing, looking like an old lady entering the city for the first time. "This is my first time in Sand village. I didn't expect that the entrance alone is so scary. It is worthy of being one of the 5 major ninja villages." Maki, who was leading the way in front, smiled awkwardly. "This is the only natural barrier of Sand village. Although it looks heavily guarded, as long as you break through this line of defense, you can enter the interior. It is incomparable to the protective barrier of your Konoha." "Did the invader who kidnapped Lord Kazekage enter Sand village from this canyon?" Sakura asked in surprise. "No." Maki shook his head and uttered 2 words with an extremely ugly expression. "The sky." "The sky?" Everyone was stunned. "Well," Maki explained as he walked, "according to the footprints left at the scene and the information obtained from the witnesses, there were 3 intruders in total, 2 of whom killed all the guards of the one-line sky, and the guy who kidnapped the Kazekage used a special giant bat to fly into the sky, thus catching us off guard. Whether it is to break through the one-line sky or kidnap the Kazekage, this is not something that ordinary ninjas can do. It seems that those guys came prepared." Kakashi's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he felt a little uneasy. While the few people were talking, they had already walked out of the one-line sky canyon. Chinatsu was a little surprised and said, "Why are there rocking chairs and parasols there?" Maki said "Oh," and replied, "Because they were left by the invaders. There may be clues left by the invaders on them, so we didn't move them away. It seems that this invader is enjoying himself." Hearing this, everyone's faces were black, but with this, it would be much easier to find the invader. Only Chinatsu was thoughtful, because the only person who would sleep in a rocking chair in this situation was her father. Thinking of this, an excited smile appeared on her face, and she thought to herself, "It seems that this trip is really worthwhile." After passing through the canyon, they entered the interior of the Sand village. Because Sand village and Konoha are allies, Kakashi and his 5 companions were warmly welcomed by the Sand village. The group walked forward along the street and came to the center. As soon as they entered the Kazekage building, they heard Kankuro screaming. A medical ninja walked over quickly and said respectfully, "Captain Maki, Kankuro is about to die." Hearing this, Maki looked helpless and looked at Kakashi and the other 5 with expectation. Karen and Sakura looked at each other and said seriously, "Leave it to me. Sakura, come and help me." "I know." Sakura responded respectfully, and the 2 ran quickly to Kankuro's ward, and then Kakashi and others followed closely. Before they even entered the door, an old lady with a hunched back rushed over with her teeth bared. Her target was Kakashi. "Konoha White Fang, I will kill you." Finally, after a lot of fuss, Karen and Sakura started the rescue work. Half a day later, in the country of rivers, in the cave of the Akatsuki base, the seal of the tailed beasts continued, including Chiya. All the members of the Akatsuki organization, either in their true form or in their projections, stood on the fingers of the outer path demon statue. Gaara, whose tailed beast chakra was absorbed, was already covered with cracks and was in danger of death. There is still half a day left. Just hold on for another half a day, and the seal of the tailed beast will be completed. The projection of pain said, "Everyone, please work harder." It's really boring. This sealing ceremony. HMM. Deidara yawned and looked at Kainai with a cold expression. By the way, brother Kainai, you haven't spoken for so long. It's a bit unlike you. Of course. Konan sighed on the side, because the one standing here in the seal is not the real body, but the shadow clone. The real body of Kainai has returned to the Hidden Rain village after separating from you. He is now at home with his wife and children. What? Deidara was shocked. Yes. Kainai answered coldly. In fact, he just wanted to not give Pain and the others a reason to let him capture the Ninetales. The one who returned to the Hidden Rain village was the real shadow clone. In the Akatsuki organization, Kisame, whose chakra amount is second only to Kainai, said with envy, "Is this the benefit of having a terrifying amount of chakra? It's a pity that my water clone is not as durable as the shadow clone, otherwise I would like to learn from him and be lazy." At this point, he turned his gaze to Daisaozi. "Itachi, why don't you teach me the shadow clone later? I also want to be as relaxed as Mr. Kainai. I'll warn Kainai later, and don't do it again." Without waiting for Itachi to speak, the projection Pain nipped Kisame's idea in the bud. He turned his gaze to Zetsu. "What's the movement in Sunagakure and Konoha?" "I was just about to report." White Zetsu chuckled. "Konoha's support has arrived in Sunagakure and is now on its way. If we continue to let them go, I'm afraid they may arrive before we complete the seal." "Who are coming?" The one asking the question was Daisaozi. Black Zetsu listed the names one by one. Grandma Chiyo of Sand Village, Kakashi, the copy ninja of Konoha, Uzumaki Karen and Hiruno Sakura, disciples of the 5th Hokage Tsunade. And by the way, it seems that Tsunade's 7-year-old daughter who just graduated from the ninja school is also here this time. What? 7 years old? Most of the Akatsuki members present felt that they were being looked down upon. Should we say that Konoha is talented, or that its talent is fading? It is amazing to graduate from the ninja school at the age of 7, but this is not a war era, and sending a 7-year-old child here is really incredible. Black Zetsu chuckled and added, "In addition, the Ninetales Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto has also followed, and Konoha's Ninja Might Guy team seems to have received Tsunade's order, and are rushing here." Wow, even the Ninetales Jinchuriki is here. It's true that there is no place to hide. Kisame looked at Kainai with interest. It's a pity that Mr. Kainai's real body is no longer here. Otherwise the Ninetales could have been captured in advance. As long as the Ninetales Jinchuriki is still in Konoha, nothing else matters. The most important thing now is to seal the One-Tails. It seems that we can only use the elephant transmigration technique. Pain said indifferently. Kisame, in the Akatsuki organization, except for Kainai, you have the most chakra, but now he is a shadow clone, and you will intercept the one named Might Guy. As for Hatake Kakashi, leave it to Itachi who is from Konoha. As for the Ninetales Jinchuriki, after the One-Tails is sealed, let Sasori and Deidara capture it personally. At the same time, Kakashi, Chinatsu, Karen, Sakura, Naruto, and Chiyo are leading the ninja dog Parker, jumping in the woods. They are gradually approaching the cave base of the Akatsuki organization. PS. The third update. Please recommend and vote for me chapter 231 Shinatsu vs. Uchiha Itachi. Are you sure the direction is correct, Parker? Kakashi asked in a deep voice, while jumping in the woods. Parker, who was leading the way, replied, "Yes, the smell is in this direction. It should be correct. But I guess you also know who the owner of the rocking chair is. Are you sure you really want to go there? That guy didn't kill you last time because of his teacher. This time, it's possible that not only you, but even Naruto will be caught." Kakashi looked at Naruto, whose eyes were bloodshot, because Gaara was caught, and was silent for a while. He sighed and said, "I have to go. Now it seems that we can only wait until we meet up with the K-class to have the strength to fight. Otherwise, at the end," Kakashi's voice was as soft as a mosquito. "Son of White Fang, I feel that your body seems to be trembling. Is there someone who makes you so scared?" Hearing this, Chiyo, who was following behind Kakashi, increased her jumping speed, walked side by side with Kakashi, and asked unhappily, "I don't like what you said. He is a very scary person. Thinking back to the last battle with that person, it can be said to be a blessing in disguise. Even now, I have no chance of winning." Kakashi said helplessly. It's really shameful. You have lost your will to fight before the battle has even started. If your father is still alive, I'm afraid he will be angry to death. Chiyo pouted with disdain. Is that so? Kakashi smiled bitterly and did not argue because he knew that even his father would definitely choose the latter between the mission and the companions. Moreover, the Hokage also ordered that if they encountered an enemy that could not be defeated, they could choose to retreat strategically. At this moment, several people suddenly saw a person in front of them. The person was standing in the woods, wearing a red cloud black robe, a forehead guard with a scratch, and a tear groove between his eyes. It turned out to be Uchiha Itachi. Stop. Kakashi waved his hand. The group immediately stopped and fell to the ground, 30 meters away from the other party. You are Uchiha Itachi. Kakashi was shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. Last time, because of the uncle version of the second pillar's obstruction, he did not really fight with Uchiha Itachi and had not yet experienced the power of his Sharingan. Facing this unknown enemy who slaughtered the Uchiha clan and defected to Konoha with Kunai, I'm afraid that there is nothing worse than this. And this is when Kunai did not come. If even Kunai came, the two of them would join forces and everything would be over. Do you want to give up this mission? Teacher Kakashi, Uchiha Itachi, is he Uchiha Itachi? Just when Kakashi was struggling to give up the mission, the voice of the second pillar's dog Hiruno Sakura suddenly sounded beside his ear. Yes. It seems that this time it is inevitable to have a hard fight. Kakashi did not look back, but looked at Uchiha Itachi with a more solemn look. Don't worry Kakashi, I'm the only one who will intercept you this time. The opposite Uchiha Itachi seemed to see through Kakashi's thoughts and suddenly spoke. We. Kakashi murmured, his face still ugly, and asked loudly, then can I understand that Kaban and the others have been intercepted by your companions? Is it Fujiwara Chiya? No, it's not. Itachi shook his head and made seals with his hands. He knew that there must be Zetsu watching around, so he didn't say anything more. The elephant turning technique has 30% of his chakra. With his heart towards Konoha, he decided to use the ninjutsu that consumes more chakra first. Be careful, the opponent's attack is coming. Seeing Uchiha Itachi making seals, Kakashi shouted urgently. The next moment, a huge fireball spit out from Uchiha Itachi's mouth and rushed towards Kakashi and others. However, before Kakashi and others could dodge, a huge water dragon suddenly rushed out from behind Kakashi and rushed towards Uchiha Itachi's fireball. The water dragon collided with the fireball and cancelled each other out, and a ball of water vapor immediately ignited in the air. Chinatsu, Kakashi, Chiyo, Naruto, Sakura, and Karen turned around and were all shocked because the one who launched the water dragon bullet that required 44 seals almost instantly was none other than the youngest Chinatsu. The same was true for Uchiha Itachi. He was the only one present who saw how Chinatsu performed the water dragon bullet, which reminded him of someone, Chiya, a genius who could rival or even surpass Chiya. Chinatsu read Uchiha Itachi's thoughts clearly, and he didn't expect that this guy would actually be a spy from Konoha. Kakashi, the prerequisite for the Sharingan to perform illusions is that the holder of the pupil technique and the enemy look into each other's eyes, but if you close your eyes, then the Sharingan illusion will not work. Moreover, the guy in front of you doesn't have much chakra, and it seems that he is not his real body, so leave it to me. As she spoke, Chinatsu closed her eyes and rushed over. Hey, wait a minute. Kakashi wanted to call Chinatsu, but it was too late. Because Chinatsu had already rushed over, her speed was even faster than that of an elite jonin like him. A perceptive ninja, Uchiha Itachi smiled and formed seals with his hands again, fire style. Phoenix fire technique. Like phoenix seeds that flew out at the touch, countless flames spewed out of Uchiha Itachi's mouth, spreading in all directions and attacking Chinatsu. Originally, Uchiha Itachi wanted to let it go and control these flames, to avoid them at a tiny distance, but he found that Chinatsu, as if she had eyes all over her body, easily avoided all the fireballs he spit out. Uchiha Itachi's eyes flashed with undisguised praise, and he thought to himself, what a keen perception, even Chiyo is probably no better than this. Grandma Chiyo narrowed her eyes slightly, and also flashed a glance of praise. It seems that Tsunade didn't send her daughter to die. Of course, Chiya is a genius who is no less than Fujiwara Chiya. Kakashi took a stance on the side and said sternly, "Everyone, don't let your guard down. Be ready to support Chiya at any time." Sakura's eyes widened instantly. So amazing. She actually avoided them all, and even closed her eyes. Karin took a step forward, stood beside Sakura, and smiled. Of course, Chiya is very strong. As for Naruto, because he stared at Itachi, he was caught in Itachi's illusion early on. In his eyes, the right half of his body turned into a two-pillar. Sakura crawled out of his stomach, and there was an extra word love, and an eye on his left hand, which was Gaara's eye. The three of them were blaming him. While they were talking, Chinatsu had already avoided all the fireballs, and rushed in front of Data Kako, and the two began a physical duel. PS. 4th update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 232. Naruto still doesn't know what happened. Although Chinatsu has observation haki, her age is still a disadvantage. At the same time, Uchiha Itachi is at least one of the top masters in the current ninja world. He also knows that Chinatsu is Tsunede's daughter and is likely to learn the strange power punch. Even if it is an elephant transformation, it is not the real body and cannot exert the full strength of the real body, but with the help of the Sharingan, it is still able to dodge Chinatsu's fist. Seeing that she can't take down the opponent, a ball of lightning appears in Chinatsu's right hand. That's Chidori. Itachi, Kakashi, Sakura, and Chiyo were all shocked at the same time. They recognized Chidori. With a burst of Chidori's cry, the ground exploded instantly, and smoke and dust rose everywhere. And Uchiha Itachi, with his keen insight, dodged the attack of Chidori, and jumped out of the smoke and dust. There is a flaw. Kakashi was the first to react. He was well prepared, and immediately used Raikiri to attack Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi, the elephant, used his Sharingan to see through Kakashi's attack trajectory. At the moment when Kakashi attacked, he dodged and avoided the attack range of Raikiri. Just as he was about to counterattack, another Chidori cry sounded not far behind him. Before he could make any move, a lightning like a spear suddenly shot out from the smoke and pierced his chest in an instant. The same Chidori form changes Kanai. Uchiha Itachi, the elephant, vomited blood, and a relieved smile appeared on his face. It seems that the daughter of the Hokage is really a genius. Kakashi and others were also shocked when they saw this scene, especially Kakashi. Although he knew that Kanai had taught Chihiro ninjutsu for a period of time, he didn't expect Chihiro to be able to do this at such a young age. Kakashi, it's solved now. The smoke and dust dissipated, revealing Chihiro's cute figure. Her right hand kept thrusting, and lightning spread out from her hand, turning into a Chidori sharp spear, piercing Uchiha Itachi, the elephant. Yes. Kakashi put away the Raikiri, and fell to the ground. He was slightly stunned, and was once again shocked by Chinatsu's talent. The Chidori was retracted, and Uchiha Itachi fell from the sky, and landed in the pit that Chinatsu had made with the Chidori. Hiruno Sakura just stood there in a daze, staring at the scene in front of her, with an unbelievable light flashing in her pupils. Is he a winner? A terrifying opponent that made Sasuke give his all, and even defector Konoha was killed by Chinatsu just like that. It was really incredible. Of course, Chinatsu is very strong. Karin didn't know what Sakura was thinking, so she patted the latter on the shoulder, and walked over with her. Oh my, Konoha is really a place where geniuses are born in large numbers. Grandma Chiyo couldn't help but sigh and followed calmly. But when she saw Uchiha Itachi turned into Yura, she instantly lost her composure. This guy's our village's Jonin, Yura. Kakashi nodded aside and said solemnly, from the beginning, Chinatsu realized that this was not the real body. It seems that the enemy has mastered some kind of ninjutsu similar to the impure world reincarnation, using living people as sacrifices to create an exquisite identical body for fighting, so as to achieve the purpose of delaying time. Everyone suddenly realized, and Sakura was frightened. Her pupils were dilated, and she began to look for Naruto's figure, but she found that she didn't see him at all. Ah, where is Naruto? That Naruto seems to be over there. Karin pointed behind her. Everyone looked back and saw Naruto alone in the jungle in the distance, dancing and making strange movements from time to time. Everyone's face was full of black lines. The ninja dog park aside, it seems that Naruto is under an illusion. This idiot. Sakura's shoulders trembled slightly, and she closed her eyes in disappointment. River country. At this time, the sky was gradually getting dark. The cave base of the Akatsuki organization. The seal continued day and night, and the one-tailed chakra continued to flow out of Gaara's eyes and mouth, turning into red chakra bubbles, and being swallowed by the golem. Pin said, "Now we are entering the final stage. No mistakes are allowed. Everyone hold on." Uchiha Itachi opened his eyes, revealing a pair of scarlet Sharingan. Failed. "There is someone in there who can defeat you? Is it the guy called Kakashi?" Deidara looked at Uchiha Itachi in surprise. "No, not really. It's the 5th Hokage's daughter, Chinatsu." At this point, Data Kako glanced at Kainai meaningfully, and said in a deep voice, "She seems to have the same perception as Kainai. She can close her eyes and fight. My Sharingan illusion doesn't work on her. And she has learned a powerful water escape technique that can suppress my fire escape technique. She also has a good talent for lightning escape technique. She has learned Kakashi's Chidori and can change her form like Kainai. The same lightning escape technique as Kainai? It seems that she is not an ordinary kid." Deidara sighed and frowned. His detonating clay was most afraid of lightning escape technique. At this time, Kisame also opened his eyes. "It's the same for me. Those Konoha ninjas seem to be more capable than I thought. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the purpose of delaying time has been achieved." Pin finally spoke. "It's easy for you to say that. The two who were used as victims of your ninjutsu are all my subordinates." Scorpion said this feedly. "Haha, they should thank me instead, because it was with this elephant transmigration technique that they were able to become members of Akatsuki for a short period of time." Pin chuckled and looked at Zetsu. "Zetsu, go and deal with the two people who use the elephant transmigration technique." "I know," Zetsu replied. Pin continued, "Enough of the nonsense, and concentrate from now on. No mistakes are allowed." There was no conversation that night. The next morning, the sky was just getting light. As the last trace of the tailed beast's chakra was swallowed by the golem, Gaara's body fell to the ground, and the tailed beast seal was finally completed. Scorpion sighed softly. Deidara put down his right hand that was making seals. "Finally done." Hidan rubbed his sore neck. "My neck feels like it's about to become stiff. It's like this every time. Sealing the tailed beasts is really hard work." Kisame moved his arms and legs. "Compared to us, Mr. Chiya is more comfortable using a shadow clone instead of the original body to seal. Even if the shadow clone is removed, the fatigue will only be momentary. You don't have to be immersed in pain for 3 days like us. Everyone has worked hard." Pain also breathed a sigh of relief and tilted his head to look at Zetsu. "Zutsu, where are the two groups of people from Konoha? PS. First update. Please vote for recommendation and monthly votes. Thanks to Quasar for the reward of 7,000 starting coins. Thanks to Fat Meow Meow for the reward of 1,500 starting coins. Thanks to Uncle Nanbabi for the reward of 600 starting coins. Chapter 233, The Battle Between Father and Daughter Kainai vs. Chinatsu. What a coincidence. Zetsu chuckled and looked towards the direction of the cave entrance. Two groups of people arrived at the same time, but, at this point, Zetsu looked at Gaara, who was lying on the ground, and had lost his life. "After all, we are still a step late. We have already finished here." Then, Scorpion, Deidara, the Jinkriki outside is left to you. And Kainai, although you are a shadow clone, the little girl who defeated Itachi's elephant and turned into a fake body is probably not easy to deal with, so I'll leave it to you. After saying that, Pin released the illusion body and summoning technique. The next moment, there was a bang, the smoke dissipated, and the outer path demon statue disappeared in the cave. Kainai, Scorpion, and Deidara jumped down in advance before the demon statue disappeared and landed steadily on the ground. "What's the situation outside now?" Scorpion tilted his head to look at Kainai. Kainai pretended to sense it and said coldly, "Might guy who defeated Kisame went to remove the sealing talisman scattered in the other 4 places. Kakashi is on the boulder blocking the cave entrance, preparing to remove the talismans at the same time as Guy." Now there are 6 people outside including Kakashi, namely Kakashi, Ninetales Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto, the Hokage's daughter Chinatsu, your grandmother Chiyo, and the Hokage's 2 apprentices, Uzumaki Karin and Hiruno Sakura. Upon hearing this, Deidara reached into the clay bag with his right hand and pinched out a giant explosive clay bird. He chuckled and said, "There is a double trap set by the leader on the 5 seals barrier. When someone tears off the forbidden character, a replica with the same appearance and abilities as the person who tore off the talisman at that time will be created and attack him. HMM. It seems that we don't have to worry about that guy named Guy. HMM." At this point, Deidara looked at Sasori, then, "Brother Sasori, I will take over the Ninetales Jinchuriki. HMM. Haven't you already caught one?" Sasori glanced at Deidara, his expression suddenly cold. Capturing Jinchuriki, who would complain about too many artistic things like this? HMM. Deidara shrugged slightly. Kanai said on the side, "It's up to you. There are 6 of us anyway, so you don't have to worry about not having opponents. Just hand over the girl, named Chinatsu to me, and you can do whatever you want with the rest." "Brother Kanai, do you know that girl named Chinatsu?" Deidara asked in surprise. "Yes. That is a little girl with the same talent as my real body." Kanai nodded and said, "Nonsense, seriously. We met in Tansho Street before the 5th Hokage Tsunade became Hokage. At that time, I didn't know that the little girl was Tsunade's daughter. I thought she looked like me, so I gave her some pointers. I didn't expect that fate would play tricks on me. We would face each other with swords so soon. It's a pity that the real body is not here, otherwise I would be very happy." Hearing this, Deidara and Scorpion suddenly realized that it was no wonder that the girl had such good strength at such a young age. It turned out that she was taught by Kanai. It didn't take long. Soon, Might Guy arrived at the other 4 designated locations with sealing talismans. Kakashi also jumped onto the boulder with talismans. Under the communication of the radio, the 5 people counted down to 3, 2, and 1, and tore off the talisman at the same time. And at the moment, when the talisman was torn off, Karin and Sakura attacked at the same time, and punched the boulder blocking the cave entrance. Boom, the whole mountain trembled violently, and the huge rocks collapsed in an instant. Looking at the rubble that kept rolling down, Kanai did not show any surprise. It was Sakura who pestered Karin to teach him the strange power fist. Karin couldn't resist and went to Tsunade, who happened to be fighting with Kanai in the room. In order to get rid of Karin as soon as possible, Tsunade agreed casually, which was why Sakura took advantage of it. But that's all. Tsunade didn't teach the 100 healings technique, and only passed it on to her disciple Karin. Outside the cave, when all the rubble fell into the river, Kakashi, Naruto, Karin, Chinatsu, Sakura, and Chiyo looked at each other, nodded, and flashed into the cave at the same time. Seeing that Kanai was actually here, Kakashi and Sakura, who had seen Kanai's terrifying strength, were instantly disappointed. Naruto was stunned, his pupils dilated, and he asked in a lost voice, "Why? Why are you here, brother Kanai? Can't you see it?" "Naruto, I'm also a member of the Akatsuki organization. Capturing the Jinchuriki is a task assigned to us by the organization, although I just came here to watch the battle this time." Kanai sat cross-legged on the ground, dragging his cheek with his right hand, and chuckled. "I'm asking you why you want to capture Gaara." Naruto almost roared, and in anger, the Ninetales in his body reacted with the host, and his pupils turned blood red in an instant. Seeing that Naruto was about to lose control, Kakashi stopped him at the first time, staring at Kanai with a serious face, with his back to Naruto, and said in a deep voice, "Naruto, calm down. If you rush up rashly, you will be wiped out. Don't worry, I'm not the real body now, just a shadow clone. I have been sealing for 3 consecutive days and nights, and I don't have much chakra. You don't need to be so nervous." Kanai's voice sounded again, but before Kakashi could breathe a sigh of relief, he added, "There are probably only 3 cards left. Let me explain. 1 card is equal to 1 times your chakra. Chakra is as terrifying as ever. So, should I feel honored for this?" Kakashi's face sank, and he casually opened the forehead protector covering his left eye, revealing a Scholar 3 Magatama Sharingan, which solidified Kanai. At the same time, he looked at the red sand scorpion and Deidara beside him from the corner of his eyes, thinking about countermeasures in his heart. Of course. Kanai's voice sounded again, but this time, I specially left 3 cards of chakra, not to take care of you. At this point, Kanai turned his eyes to Kyangsha. Kakashi immediately understood and sighed. He didn't take us seriously at all. Was it because of Kyangsha? Kanai was possessed by the spirit of drama. Little girl, we meet again. Yes, Kanai, we meet again. Since the last time we parted, I have always wanted to kill you. Kyangsha also soared in acting. This made Karin, who knew the relationship between the two, and Kakashi and others who were kept in the dark from beginning to end, stunned. Those who didn't know would think that the two had some deep hatred. Sure enough, I was not mistaken. You are a person with the same talent as me. It is really amazing that you can defeat that guy Daisyoshi at this age with the fake body created by the elephant transformation technique. Kanai nodded and made a symbolic seal with his right hand. Then let me see how much you have grown. Fire style. Great dragon fire technique. A huge amount of chakra gathered in the throat, and then suddenly spurted out, turning into 3 huge fire dragons covering Kakashi and the other 6 PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me chapter 234. Karin is still Karin. Not good. Everyone, get out of here. Seeing this, Kakashi was startled and shouted in a hurry. However, before he could take any action, Chihiro stepped forward quickly and also made a symbolic seal with her right hand and then released a restriction, spewing out 3 huge fire dragons that were almost identical to Chiya from her mouth. The 6 fire dragons collided with each other, and the cave ceiling, which was no longer protected by the seal, collapsed instantly. The dazzling sunlight radiated down and poured on everyone. Hey, she can actually perform a powerful fire escape with the same power as Chiya's shadow clone. This little girl is not simple. HMM. Looking at the collapsed ceiling, Deidara couldn't help but sigh. And Scorpion's eyes never moved away from Chiya from beginning to end, and the other party was the same. The two looked at each other with very complicated expressions. You are quite capable. Chiya's eyes flashed with admiration, which was for Chihiro. As he said this, he was possessed by the spirit of drama again, and quietly grasped the Zanpakuto in his hand. When Chiya's eyes just swept over, he whispered in his heart, "Shatter it, Kagami and Sujetsu." He quietly released his Zanpakuto. He said in a voice that only Chinatsu and Karin could hear, "Karin, use your diamond seal to block my next move. Then leave here with Chinatsu." Hearing this, Chinatsu and Karin looked at each other and nodded. While talking, Kanai controlled the strength and swung a slash. A green blade wind cut through the air and split the earth, attacking Chinatsu and the other 6 people like lightning. Little girl, you can't block this move. Looking at the slash coming at him at a high speed, another move he had never seen before, Kakashi was shocked and quickly formed a seal at double speed, then slapped the ground, earth style. Earth flow wall. A huge dog head wall suddenly rose from the ground. However, the earth flow wall did not block the slash for a moment, and it was broken in just a moment. It's bad. Just when Kakashi thought that this was the end, Karin stepped forward. A burst of white light appeared at her lower back, and 5 diamond chains stretched out and overlapped, blocking Kanai's slashing steps. Finally, with a scream from Karin, under her full strength, the slash was actually blown away and hit the sky. The already dilapidated ceiling of the cave was completely shattered, completely exposed under the blue sky. So amazing. Sakura, who survived the disaster, had cold sweat on her forehead. Her pupils were dilated, and she lost her voice in horror. The Uzumaki clan's diamond blockade? No wonder Tsunade asked you to follow the Ninetales Jinchuriki. I didn't expect you to master this trick. It seems that today will not be so boring, but this place is too narrow. Let's go to another place, Kanai said, and his figure flashed and jumped onto the top of the cliff at the top of the cave. Senior Kakashi, Sakura, Naruto, Chiyo, I'll leave the remaining 2 enemies to you. Chinatsu and I will deal with this extremely dangerous guy. Karin said hello to Kakashi and couldn't wait to chase after them with Chinatsu. These 2 guys, Kakashi shouted in a headache towards the direction where Chinatsu and Karen were going. Karen, Chinatsu, don't chase them too far, got it? After leaving these words, Karen and Chinatsu disappeared completely. Deidara looked back and said, wow, he was able to block brother Kainai's move. It seems that the ninjas of Konoha are not as weak as imagined. HMM. But it's in vain. With the strength of those two girls, even the shadow clones can never be the opponent of brother Kainai. HMM. He is the strongest existence in our Akatsuki organization except for the leader. HMM. Having said that, Deidara threw out the clay bird that he had prepared in his hand, formed a seal with his right hand, and with a bang, the bird instantly enlarged and turned into a giant bird. Then brother Scorpion, it's almost time for us to act. But you must not be angry later. HMM. Of course. But speaking of which, you are not planning to take away the body of this Kazakage boy and snatch my target, right? Scorpion stretched out the tail of the amber jade towards Deidara. Deidara smiled and didn't answer directly. Instead, he waited until the clay giant bird exploded and swallowed Gaara's body before he spoke. He jumped on the bird's back and answered, of course, that's why I told you not to be angry later. As he said that, Deidara controlled the clay giant bat to fly out of the cave. Escape from Scorpion's attack range. Asshole, give Gaara back to me. Seeing Deidara taking Gaara away, Naruto's eyes became more and more bloodshot as he roared and followed closely. Really, everyone is so self-righteous. Kakashi looked at Naruto who followed him out, and then looked at Scorpion, the only member of the Akatsuki organization left in the cave. He sighed and told Sakura, Sakura, you and Chiya stay here to watch this guy. Don't act rashly. I'll contact the K-team to come to support you later. I know. Sakura swallowed hard. Since then, the battlefield has been divided into 3 places. Chiyo, Sakura vs. Scorpion of the Red Sand. Kakashi, Naruto vs Deidara. As for Chiya, Chinatsu, and Karen, they were now above the cave where Sasori, Chiya, and Chiyo were. As soon as she left Kakashi in the other site, Chitsu could not wait to throw herself into Chiya's arms. Chiya, I think it would be better if you called me dad. Chiya held his daughter and turned around a few times. Karen asked in surprise, isn't this the shadow clone of Chiya-sama? How is it possible? Chitsu will not hug any other man besides Chiya, even if it is a shadow clone. Chitsu hugged Chiya's neck and rubbed against him greedily. Then why did Chiya-sama just now? Karen asked hesitantly. He wanted to know why Chiya said he was a shadow clone before. Chinatsu continued to answer for her father. Of course, I lied to the middle school boy who only liked to play in the mud, and the loveless middle-aged man who made himself into a puppet. Also, if I didn't say that, the leader of the Akatsuki organization would definitely let Kainai capture that idiot Naruto. I'm right, Kainai. At the end, Chinatsu stretched out her cute little face, as if to ask for credit, and motioned for Kainai to give her a kiss full of fatherly love. Kainai half squatted down, put his daughter down, touched her little head, and kissed her on the little face. Chinatsu giggled. Okay, stop making trouble. Next, let's take a good look at the battle between Grandma Chiyo and her grandson. This level of puppet duel may never happen again in the future. Kainai stood up and smiled. However, at the moment when Kainai let go of his daughter, Karen, who confirmed that Kainai was not a shadow clone, suddenly lit up her eyes. She has a hot temper, is stubborn, and says one thing but means another. She is very direct in expressing her likes and dislikes to others. Just like Ursuzi in the original novel, she barely conceals her love for Kainai and throws herself into his arms like a flying bird. Master Kainai. Kainai, who is familiar with the original novel, twitches his lips fiercely. Should we say that Karen is worthy of being Karen? P.S. The third update. Please give me a monthly ticket. Chapter 235 Chinatsu's crying and worry. Ugh. Looking at Karen, who was clinging to his arms, steam coming out of her nostrils, drooling, and looking like an nympho. Kainai's forehead was covered with black lines. Karen, what are you doing? Kainai finally knew why the original author didn't choose Karen in the end. Although he knew that Karen in the original book was like this when facing the person she liked, he still couldn't help but shudder when it was his turn. And Kyangsha, who was standing aside, turned black all of a sudden when Karen threw herself into Kainai's arms, half lowered her head, and her eyes were covered by shadows. There were faint signs of blackening. Although she knew that this sister who was rescued by her father had some special feelings for her father, she didn't know that the other party dared to take any action until just now. In other words, after learning that this was her father's real body, Karen's body reacted faster than her brain and instinctively threw herself on him. How dare this 16-year-old woman? Karen slapped her saliva. Nothing. It's just that I haven't seen Master Kainai for a long time. Well, I want to use my charm. Oh no, I want to get closer to Master Kainai. At this time, Karen didn't know that danger was coming, and she subconsciously spit out the truth. At the moment, when she finished speaking, the blackened Kyangsha finally moved, punched out, and Karen flew dozens of meters away. Asshole Karen, who allowed you to hug Kainai? While speaking, Kyangsha burst out with an extremely powerful fairy chakra. Then she slowly walked towards Karen. Every step she took, a deep footprint would be left on the hard rock ground, and cracks would fill up around the footprints and spread like a spider web. Suddenly, the whole mountain seemed to tremble. After not seeing you for a few years, Chinatsu really looks more and more like Tsunade. Looking at Chinatsu's furious back, Chiya gave Karen a look of wishing her well, and ignored them, instead looking at Scorpion and Chiya below. In the cave. Because of Chinatsu's anger, the mountain shook violently several times, and countless rubble rolled down. At this time, Chiya was telling Sakura what to do next. Suddenly, there was a bang at the top of the cave. Sakura was frightened and screamed. Her steps were unstable, and she almost fell to the ground. Don't be afraid, Sakura. You have to believe in your companions. And this sound doesn't sound like it was made by that guy named Fujiwara Chiya. Chiyo put her right hand on Sakura's shoulder, staring at Scorpion opposite with a serious face. How shameless of you, old woman. Perhaps you don't know what a powerful opponent those two little guys are facing. With that guy's strength, even a shadow clone is very deadly. Scorpion laughed sinisterly. Well, let's get started. Scorpion's battle with Chiyo and Sakura. Oh no, to be more precise, with Chiyo and her human puppet Sakura, officially began. Because of the addition of the fourth Kazukige's human puppet, Chiyo was looking forward to it. But soon, he was greatly disappointed. Should we say that Scorpion is worthy of being the one in the Akatsuki organization, who is second only to Atako in terms of letting people go? After the Hiruko puppet was entangled by Chiyo's chakra line and then broken by Sakura, Scorpion took out the two strongest human puppets of the third and fourth generations at the same time. As a result, Scorpion let Pacific Ocean go at the beginning, calling it a mistake, and Sakura, who was controlled by Chiyo, broke the fourth Kazukige's human puppet. This is why he was forced to use the third Kazukige's bloodline limit, Sandaime. Then, just like in the original story, he was deliberately broken. Then, he took off his Akatsuki uniform, exposing the obvious weakness on his chest, and began to seek death, saying, since the puppets of the third and fourth generations have been broken, it would be useless to use other people's puppets. In the end, he deliberately exposed his flaws, and was stabbed in the heart by the puppets of father and mother. Is this guy called Scorpion going to die? Karen, who had stopped playing with Chinatsu, widened her eyes and looked unbelievable. The battle has continued until now. Any ninja with a little bit of insight knows that Scorpion is letting it go all the way and seeking death. The young Chinatsu cried and threw herself into Kainai's arms. Why? Why do they have to kill each other? Aren't they grandparents? Why is this happening? I don't want it. She, who has the ability to listen to the voices of all things, can read the hearts of Chiyo and Scorpion's descendants clearly. From the hearts of the two, she learned about Scorpion's childhood and the reason why Scorpion defected. Because her parents were killed by Konoha White Fang in the Second Ninja World War, she was lonely since childhood and lived in a cold-hearted village like Sand Village. Her grandmother was a proud girl and was not well guided, so she went astray. In short, this is a history of the blackening of a loveless boy. From this, Chinatsu resonated, because she also had such a time. She had never seen her father since she was born. Her mother was a gambler and always liked to perfunctory her. Although she was given enough care, whenever she saw other children being held hands by their father and mother at the same time, she would show envy like Scorpion in her childhood. Now, although the family is reunited, she can't read her father's voice. She is worried that one day, her father will kill her mother, because of different positions, just like Scorpion. Since you don't like it, I'll change this ending. Kanai rubbed Chinatsu's cute head. Can it really be changed? Chinatsu stood up, wiped her tears with tears in her eyes, and asked with red eyes and sobs. Of course. Kanai took out 2 senzu beans from the system, and handed them to Karen. You are Tsunade's disciple, you should know this. Karen was stunned. Is this a senzu bean? Her teacher Tsunade had 5. In order to ensure the success rate of the operation, she gave Rock Lee 1, leaving 4. This time, for the safety of her and Chinatsu, she gave her 2 more, before leaving to prevent any accidents. She never expected that Kanai would have such a magical item. Kanai nodded and waved to Chinatsu and Karen. In Chinatsu's jealous eyes, Karen was excited and flushed as she put her ears close to him. Chinatsu was no less excited. She took a favorable position at the first time to prevent Karen, an infomaniac, from touching Kanai. Kanai whispered something in their ears, and then said, okay, I should go down, otherwise it will be too late. Kanai, can we meet again later? Chinatsu looked at her father pitifully. Wait back to Konoha, you can see me. When you return to Konoha, I will wait for you at home. Kanai said, and flew towards the cave below. After Kanai left, Chinatsu did not stay for too long. In order to return to Konoha to see Kanai as soon as possible, she hurriedly pulled Karen and rushed to the direction where Kakashi and others left. PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me chapter 236 A Different Ending. Resurrection of Scorpion. The Akatsuki organization's cave base was now in ruins. Countless rubble and puppet fragments were scattered everywhere. In the center, in order to avoid the sealing technique of Chiyo, Scorpion, who had already changed his puppet body, shot out the regeneration core from his body. The father and mother puppets stabbed the heart of the regeneration core. It's really boring, but I'm about to be unable to move. Before that, I'll do something useless as a reward for you to defeat me. Little girl, you really want to know about Orochimaru? 10 days later, go to the Shiandi Bridge in Kusagakure village. Looking at Sakura, who was cured of her fatal injury by Chiyo's turning around, she learned from Chiyo that this ninjutsu was prepared to revive Scorpion's parents. Scorpion, whose consciousness was gradually blurred, told the news about Orochimaru before he died, just like in the original work. What's going on? Sakura was startled and asked quickly. One of Orochimaru's subordinates has my spy, and he will meet him there. At this point, Scorpion's voice gradually weakened. The 2 puppets, the father and mother, who had stabbed his regeneration core heart with a knife, seemed to lose their support and slowly fell down as Scorpion's life gradually faded. Sakura, who learned about Orochimaru's news, no longer cared about Scorpion, and turned to Grandma Chiyo and said, Grandma Chiyo, everything is over. You are really amazing. Grandma Chiyo lay on the ground, shook her head with a depressed look, and was about to tell the fact that Scorpion let her go, when suddenly a black shadow appeared silently between Sakura and the Scorpion puppet, and supported the regeneration core puppet. The black shadow was wearing a red cloud black robe, a clean black hair, and a scratched Konoha forehead guard on his head. It was Kanai just now. Sakura, watch your back. Seeing this, Grandma Chiyo shouted urgently, and at the same time, raised her hands with all her strength, fiddled with her index finger, and used chakra threads to stick to the blades of the surrounding Scorpion puppets, and attacked Kanai's back. Sakura turned around abruptly when she heard that. Seeing who was coming, her pupils shrank immediately. If it were any other time, Sakura would have been so frightened that she couldn't move. But now, having just defeated Scorpion, another member of the Akatsuki organization, she was full of confidence and felt that she had really become stronger. I don't know where the courage came from, or maybe it was out of worry about Karen and Chinatsu. A powerful punch suddenly hit Kanai. Boom, the earth trembled, smoke and dust rose, and countless small pieces of rubble rolled down from the top of the cave. Little girl, are you so self-righteous that you think you have defeated Scorpion, that you have lost yourself? Kainai's leisurely voice suddenly sounded in the thick smoke. How could it be? Sakura's pupils suddenly dilated, her face was pale, and there was a light of disbelief in her eyes. The smoke dissipated. The figures of Kainai, Sakura, and Scorpion were revealed. Sakura's powerful punch was caught by Kainai from the front with one hand, and she couldn't move. Kainai's other hand supported Scorpion's puppet, and his palm was pressed on the regeneration core pierced by the knife. A special blue light emerged from his palm. It was the god-level medical ninjutsu he obtained by saving the seven-tailed Jinchurikifu. As long as the person is not completely dead, it only takes about 10 cards of chakra to revive. 1 day of death requires 50 cards. 2 days of death consumes 100 cards. With each additional day, the chakra required for resurrection will increase exponentially. The ninja tools controlled by Chiyo seemed to be blocked by some invisible force, and were frozen in midair. Kainai snorted coldly, and was instantly bounced away, and scattered all over the cave. Of course, with your insignificant strength, how could you hurt me? If it weren't for Grandma Chiyo who has been controlling you with puppetry, and if Scorpion was facing the only relative, do you think you, or even Grandma Chiyo, would still be alive now? Kainai said lightly. Asshole, I'm asking you what happened to Chihiro and senior sister Karin? Sakura screamed, gathering all her strength, and swinging her other fist at Kainai. Before asking other questions, it's not polite to attack by surprise. Kainai exerted a little force with his right hand, and with a click, Sakura's hand bones broke, and the action of swinging fists came to an abrupt end. She couldn't hold back, and knelt on the ground and screamed, asshole, what did you do to Chihiro and senior sister Karin? Sakura's voice trembled, her face was pale, and big beads of sweat as big as soybeans appeared on her face. The intense pain in her wrist almost made her faint. At this moment, Chiyo's voice suddenly rang out from Sakura's figure. Enough, Sakura. This is not a shadow clone, but the real body. Since the real body appears here, it means that his shadow clone should have been defeated. The two girls should be safe now. Her originally low mood suddenly rose, and her eyes were fixed on Scorpion's regeneration core. As if seeing something incredible, his pupils widened, and burst out with disbelief. Have you figured it out? Kainai let go of Sakura, kicked Sakura unconscious, and kicked him into Chiyo's arms. Yes, but I'm curious about your purpose in doing this. It's worth spending so much chakra on you. You, who slaughtered the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, joined that terrorist organization. You don't seem like someone who would save your companions. Chiyo nodded. She was able to develop resurrection medical ninjutsu such as reincarnation, so she naturally recognized that Kainai was using some kind of medical ninjutsu to save Scorpion. It only consumed 10 cards of chakra. For me, it's nothing. And Kainai turned around and pulled out the blade inserted in Scorpion's regeneration core, and with his other hand, he drew out the toxins in the regeneration core. Such an outstanding puppeteer will never appear again in the future. If he died like this, it would be a pity. I still need him to make toys for my daughter. Daughter? Grandma Chiyo was stunned. Yes, my daughter. Kainai nodded. At this time, the puppet that had stopped moving suddenly moved, and Scorpion slowly woke up. What came into view was Kainai's familiar figure. I am. Yo, are you awake? Kainai said with a smile. Scorpion glanced at Chiyo who was holding Sakura opposite him, then looked down at the regeneration core in his chest, feeling the chakra that was gradually recovering, and asked hesitantly, Kainai, why? Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to save you. It's just that if you die, my daughter's toy puppet will be gone in the future. Kainai replied. For my daughter? Scorpion pursed his lips, and a rare smile appeared on his face. This is really like your style. You regard your family as more important than anything else. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 Kainai's Threat. Scorpion withdraws from Akatsuki. Let's all be together. Kainai glanced at Chiyo and said meaningfully to Z, don't you also hold back your hands and squander your puppets because Chiyo is your grandmother? Even I gave. Did you go out of your way to expose the flaws of the fourth Kazekage and have them smashed by that little girl? The same goes for the third Kazukage's puppet. You are always cautious in fighting, but you actually gave away the puppet with the Sand Iron Blood successor. Going to the enemy's side, isn't it clear that he will be killed? There is also the poison left in Kankuro's body. You must know the importance of the puppet technique information better than me, but you actually went out of your way to leave that guy's life. TSK. If you want to see your grandma, you don't need to go to such trouble. Hey. Hearing this, Z sighed softly when his thoughts were revealed. He took a deep look at Chiyo again and changed the topic. Let's talk about the next step. What do you need me to do for you? You have spent so much effort to resurrect me. You don't want to be a loser. Of course Kainai took it back. With the palm of his hand, he casually pulled out the blade on the scorpion puppet and swung a slash at the puppet made by the scorpion body. The seal on the puppet instantly shattered. Kainai turned his back to Z and casually threw out a scroll he had prepared. From today on, you are no longer a member of the Akatsuki organization. In the eyes of the world, you are already dead. As for how to disguise the scene, you are better than me. I know better. I will come over to investigate the scene later. You can do it yourself. There are things I asked you to do in the scroll. Z took the scroll and moved his stiff puppet body. Walk slowly towards the main body. The moment they passed by Chiyo, the two looked at each other and said nothing. Now, it's your turn. Granny Chiyo, you must have heard our conversation just now. If my guess is correct, next, you plan to use the reincarnation you developed to resurrect Gaara, the little devil. Well, tell me what I should do with you. Kainai discussed with Granny Kayande with a smile. When it was said that Chiyo would use his own life to resurrect Gaara, Scorpio, who was replacing his body, visibly paused. What, do you want to kill the old woman? Granny Chiyo glanced at Z, narrowed her eyes slightly, and asked. Kainai waved his hand. Don't get me wrong, if I kill you, then Z probably won't complete that task for me. If possible, I hope you pretend you didn't hear or see anything, and then take this ignorant little girl in your arms and run away from me. I understand. Chiyo picked up the unconscious Sakura and jumped up to the top of the cave. He seemed to remember something, was silent for a moment, and suddenly asked, are you so trusting of the old woman? Of course, but I don't believe in you, but believe in myself. Don't look at me like this, but I'm actually quite strong. Kainai put his hands in his hands carrying the burden. He said in a deep voice, he is very strong, stronger than everyone else. Even the unfathomable leader of our organization. I don't take him seriously. Let me tell you this, when we wiped out 2000 Sarutobi clan it took about 15 minutes for more than a dozen ninjas and nearly 1,000 civilians. I was 13 years old that year. Now, annihilating Sunagakure village and killing it to nothing will probably not be as good as annihilating the monkey. The flying clan must have taken a long time. If you reveal anything about what happened after I appeared today, then Sunagakure village will most likely be massacred within 15 minutes. It will be massacred within 15 minutes. Well, he is really a brazen and crazy guy, just like the original Uchiha Madara. It seems that those two old guys, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Anzo, really created a man for Konoha and the 5 major countries. Where is the terrible enemy? Chiyo turned his back to Kainai and murmured in a voice that only he could hear. Hey, don't compare me to that kind of loser. Kainai said indifferently. Can you hear this? Is it lip reading? No. He can't see my mouth. It seems to be pure hearing. This has gone beyond the scope of ninjas. With this thought in his mind, Chiyo's pupils suddenly twitched, and he clicked his tongue and didn't reply. He carried Sakura and disappeared from Kainai's sight. At this time, Z came over. I have arranged the scene, and the puppet arm with the ring has also stayed. So now, what are you going to do? At this time, Z had already put on the real puppet, he put on a black robe, and regained his former handsome appearance. From the appearance alone, it was almost difficult to tell that he was a puppet. Kai and I looked Z up and down and couldn't help but tsk, you guy, you obviously have a good skin and a handsome man, but you don't learn how to pick up girls like me, but you actually make yourself a puppet. Tsk, it's a waste of time. Scorpio turned his head impatiently. You don't know the real art. If you have something to say, I'll leave if nothing happens. Don't think that everyone is like you and can't walk when you see a beautiful woman. That's right. Kai and I nodded, non-committal, but then again, don't you want to see what happened to that feng-eyeing boy and your grandma? Hearing this, Z looked towards the direction where Chiya left, with a complicated expression. No one knew what he was thinking. The words were divided between the two. While Kai and I was rescuing the scorpion, Deidara was in dire straits. Not only was Kakashi using his divine power to twist off his remaining right arm, but he also hit Kaben's hand. Poor explosive boy became a disabled man. He had a kunai in his mouth and was unable to use ninjutsu. He was beaten violently by Kaben, a team composed of taijutsu masters. In the end, he was forced to use the explosive clone to self-destruct. As a result, the explosion was still absorbed by Kakashi using his divine power. In this way, a man who single-handedly kidnapped Feng-eyeing, one of the 5 major nations, should have become famous with such a dazzling achievement, but in the end, he could only escape by feigning death. How sad. Kakashi, on the other hand, was exhausted due to the excessive consumption of chakra by using his divine power, and once again transformed into the Prince of Kidney Deficiency. Kakashi-sensei, are you okay? Naruto stepped forward to help Kakashi. It's not bad. Kakashi responded weakly, panting, but it seems to be safe at last. The only thing left is to know what happened to Chinatsu Koru, Sakura, and Grandma Chiyo. Especially Chinatsu and Zyangrin. Their opponent is Fujiwara Chiya. Speaking of this, Kakashi recalled in his mind that the sword Chiya swung was a technique he had never seen before. There doesn't seem to be chakra in it. It's not so much a ninjutsu, but rather a sword pressure caused by the cutting force being too strong and too fast. It's similar to taijutsu such as Asa Peacock and Tirotora. If the opponent can, if you continue to use it, Kyangsha and the others will be in bad luck. PS. Third update. Please recommend and vote for me. Please give me monthly votes. Chapter 238 Scorpion's Mission. Happy ending. We are saved. The Might Guy team, who survived the disaster, looked back at the huge pit created by Deidara's self-explosion, with thick smoke billowing from it. They swallowed hard in horror. Just now, when they were about to be caught in the aftermath of the explosion, they almost thought they were going to die here. If Kakashi hadn't used his divine power to absorb the explosion, I'm afraid everyone present would have been buried in the sea of fire. You are worthy of being my eternal opponent, Kakashi. Might Guy grinned, revealing his dazzling silver teeth, and turned back to give Kakashi a thumbs up. Well, it's okay. After performing Kamu, Kakashi collapsed into Naruto's arms, his voice weak and out of breath. But the most important thing now is to confirm the safety of Chinatsu and Sakura. The enemies over there are much more difficult than here. I guess I'll have to rely on you guys. K's team, from now on. Leave it to me. Niji, Lee, Tenten, let's go. Might Guy gave an order, and just as they were about to set off, 2 figures, one big and one small, rushed out of the woods. They were Chinatsu and Karin, who looked embarrassed because of jealousy and playfulness. They rushed here according to Kainai's arrangement. Senior Kakashi, I just sensed an extremely violent chakra reaction here. Are you okay? Karin asked. Kakashi nodded weakly. Seeing that the two were fine, he breathed a sigh of relief and asked about Sakura's situation. How is the situation over there? Yeah. Although it took a lot of effort, we finally defeated that shadow clone. As for Sakura, they had already defeated the Akatsuki members when we left. Karin said the answer she had prepared without blushing or beating her heart. That's good. Hearing this, Kakashi was completely relieved. This difficult mission finally came to an end. At this time, Naruto's 2 shadow clones came over with Gaara's body. Karin, please. He wanted Karin to treat Gaara who died because the tail beast was stripped away. Karin nodded slightly. Although she could no longer sense Gaara's chakra and knew that the latter had died as expected, she still knelt down and performed the palm fairy technique. to try to treat him, but it didn't work. Helplessly, she sighed lightly, stood up and shook her head. A breeze blew by, and the scene suddenly fell silent, with everyone's face showing a feeling of loss. "How is Gaara?" Naruto's eyes were filled with tears, and his voice was trembling. Seeing that Karen did not answer, he shouted anxiously, "I ask you what happened to Gaara?" Karen shook her head and remained silent. "That's enough, Naruto." The tailed beast was pulled out of the Jinkriki's body. "I believe you should also know what this means." Kakashi pressed Naruto's shoulders and told him the cruel reality that he didn't want to believe. But Kakashi, Gaara has finally become the Wind Shadow. How can he die here? Hearing Kakashi's words, Naruto couldn't hold back his tears anymore. He knew that Gaara was dead. But as a Jinkriki, I'm afraid no one understands Gaara's pain better than Naruto. Naruto's goal is to be the Hokage, so after seeing Gaara become the Wind Shadow, he was unwilling, but also happy for Gaara from the bottom of his heart. Now that Gaara is dead, how can he not feel sad? Karen was silent for a while, and sighed. If he was still alive, even if there was only a trace of life left, relying on the secret medicine given by Tsunade-sama, then I might be able to save him, but now, it's too early to give up now. Chiyo's voice suddenly rang in everyone's ears, and she helped the unconscious Sakura out of the dense forest. Naruto's eyes lit up, and he didn't care about the unconscious Sakura. "Chiyo, do you have a way to save Gaara?" "I guess so." Chiyo glanced at Naruto, whose face was covered with tears, and a relieved smile appeared on her old face. She handed Sakura to Karen. "I'll leave Sakura to you. Her right hand bone is almost completely broken." "I know. Leave it to me." Karen nodded heavily and took Sakura to the side for treatment. And Chiyo performed the forbidden resurrection technique on Gaara, and she was reborn. When Chiyo's chakra was running low, Naruto took the initiative to contribute his own chakra. At this moment, the Tsunagakure ninjas, who had a change of heart, finally resisted and rushed here, just like afterthoughts. In the end, Gaara successfully woke up under the attention of the public, just like in the original work. The only difference is that the old woman Chiyo did not die. Because of Chinatsu's previous prayer, Kainai gave 2 senzu beans. One was given to Gaara, who regained a little life because of Chiyo's reincarnation ninjutsu. The other was given to Chiyo, who had most of her life energy taken away by performing reincarnation ninjutsu for Sakura and Gaara. It saved her life. On a hillside somewhere nearby, Kainai watched this scene and couldn't help but sigh. TSK. What a touching happy ending. I never thought that the Jinkriki kid would be accepted one day. Scorpion, who was standing next to Kainai, glanced at Gaara, who had become the hero of Sand Village, and was like a star among the crowd, with a complicated expression, and a hint of hidden emotion flashed across his reddish-brown pupils. "Why are you envious? If you hadn't left Sand Village, maybe the position of Kazekage would have been yours, and this kid wouldn't have gotten it." Kainai teased with a playful smile on his face. "How boring." Scorpion snorted and turned his eyes away from Gaara in a very arrogant manner, looking at Karen, who was using medical ninjutsu to detoxify Chiyo-san, and said with some surprise, "That little girl with red hair is yours, right?" Kainai said oh, and asked with interest, "How did you know?" "My poison cannot be detoxified by medical ninjutsu alone. If there is no corresponding antidote, I will not survive for more than 3 days. The only medical ninjutsu that can detoxify me is yours, which is no less than resurrection." Scorpion said his guess. "You are really observant." Kainai did not deny that he did teach Karen how to eliminate toxins. Scorpion continued, "And that old woman, after using her reincarnation on 2 people one after another, she is still alive. I can't figure out who else has this ability except you, and Pin, who has the Samsara. But I'm curious why you did this. You don't seem like a kind person." "Probably for my daughter. Because my daughter doesn't want to see that old woman Chiyo die." Kainai gave an ambiguous answer. PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 239. Obito was almost killed in the explosion of Camu space. Scorpion thought Kainai was talking about Kainha, so he didn't question her. He took out the task scroll Kainai had given him before, looked at it, and asked hesitantly, "Why are you interested in that kind of thing?" You know the dragon vein? Kainai's eyes flashed with surprise. You may have forgotten what I did when I was in the Akatsuki organization. I was mainly responsible for intelligence work. Scorpion rolled his eyes at Kainai and said lightly, "That's much easier. How about it? Can you do it?" Kainai needed Scorpion to do nothing else but to control the dragon vein in the ancient city of Laolan that was sealed by the fourth Hokage. Since even a puppeteer of the level of Centipede in the original work could do it, then Scorpion, the first puppeteer in the ninja world, would naturally be able to do it. Scorpion thought for a moment and said in a deep voice, "Although I don't know what you plan to do with that thing, I think it should not be difficult to do. It just takes a long time." "How long?" Kainai asked. "It's hard to say. I'm good at human puppets. I haven't been particularly involved in things like this before. If you want to control it perfectly, it will take at least half a year, or at most a year." Scorpion frowned slightly. He didn't like waiting for people, nor did he like to make people wait, but he didn't like imperfect things even more. If the things he made were defective, he would rather not use them. For things like dragon veins, if he wanted to fully control them, with his technology, it would take some time to study them, otherwise no one knew what would happen. Kainai said, "Then let's set the deadline as half a year. There's a guy called 100 Feet that you can pay attention to. That guy seems to be a traitor in your village. In the near future, maybe he will try to get that thing. Maybe you can get some inspiration from him." Naruto is now 16 years old. On his 17th birthday, the 4th Ninja World War will end. A year is too long. By then, the Ninja World War will be almost over. Kainai can't wait that long. And the reason why he spent so much effort to save Scorpion was naturally to travel through time and space. Who would have thought that Naruto would call him father back then? Mountain Cemetery. Located in the northern part of the Iron Country, this place can be said to be a forbidden area of the Iron Country, just like the Death Forest during the Konoha Chunin exam, which is full of dangers. The best warriors of the Iron Country must have the experience of crossing the Mountain Cemetery alone once in their lives. Because only in this way can they be qualified to be called the best warriors and get the title of samurai who sees through life and death. Once they pass the trial of the Mountain Cemetery, they will be able to leave a strong mark in the history of the Iron Country. Everyone will remember that there was such a genius warrior in history who crossed the Mountain Cemetery alone in his 20s. This is a place of pilgrimage for every young warrior, and it is also the place where young talents fall. In addition, it is also the place where the Outer Path demon statue is hidden, and the place where the age spot falls. In the center of the huge cemetery, there is a huge skeleton, wearing a vortex mask and a black tight combat uniform. Obito, who wrapped his whole body tightly, sat cross-legged on the skeleton. Indifferently, he said, "How is the situation?" "The seal of the One Tail has been completed, but there is still no news about Scorpion and Deidara. I'm afraid they have met with an accident." The huge pitcher plant rose from the ground, and Black Zetsu answered in a very hoarse voice. White Zetsu added, "It seems that they didn't catch the Ninetales Jinchuriki." Hearing that Scorpion and Deidara met with an accident, Obito's eyes did not show any emotional fluctuations, but the words that White Zetsu said later made him frown immediately. Didn't that guy Kainai take action? After watching the duel between Deidara and the One-Tailed Jinchuriki, his real body returned to the Hidden Rain village to accompany his wife and children, leaving only a shadow clone there. Zetsu answered in a hoarse but respectful voice. "This guy. He really knows how to pick the time." Obito said with a headache. "Let's go and take a look. Next, it's time for me to join the Akatsuki organization as a formal member." After speaking, the right eye socket under Obito's mask began to twist, sucking his body into the Kamu space. However, just as he entered the Kamu space, he happened to encounter the clay self-destruct clone that was teleported in by Kakashi. The flame clone exploded, and a huge flame mushroom cloud was set off in the Kamu space, instantly covering Obito. It was too late to use Kamu to teleport out at this time, so Obito had to use his newly transplanted left eye to cast Eye's energy. Then he teleported out of the Kamu space. "Aren't you going to the Kawakuни base? Why are you back again?" Seeing Obito reappear, Zetsu, who had not yet merged into the ground, said with some surprise, "Is that guy Kakashi able to use Kamu?" Obito did not answer, but just stroked his right eye. While speaking, Obito's right eye socket under the mask twisted again, sucking his body into it and disappearing. It seems that Kakashi can already use the power of Obito's left eye. Then let's go with him. Zetsu's body sank back into the ground and disappeared. For the two who possessed the space-time ninjutsu and the mayfly jutsu, it takes ordinary ninjas several days or even dozens of days to reach the place. They will arrive in an instant. At the moment they arrived, Kanai sensed them for the first time. He looked in their direction and released Mirror Flower and Water Moon. He turned his back to Scorpion and said, "It seems that Black Zetsu and the others have arrived. You go first. Don't forget our agreement." "Then how should I contact you in the future?" Scorpion asked hesitantly. "The scroll I gave you has the Flying Thunder God seal I set." Kanai made seals with his hands and summoned a few crows. "These crows are my summoning beasts. As long as you have any news, you can contact me through these crows. I will immediately use the space-time ninjutsu to teleport to your side." In fact, not only the scroll, but also the Flying Thunder God seal was set on Scorpion's regeneration core just in case, and it was also set inside the interior that he repaired with medical ninjutsu. Flying Thunder God. Scorpion was startled, and when he opened the scroll, he found the word 1000 in an inconspicuous place. He couldn't help but sigh. "You are really scary. You even learned this advanced space-time ninjutsu. But this should be the space-time ninjutsu of the 4th Hokage. Where did you get it from?" "Of course I got it from Orochimaru. Otherwise, you think there is no benefit. That stinky snake was able to slip away from my hands again and again. In fact, every time, he paid for his life." Kanai looked as if it was a matter of course. PS. Second update. Please recommend on monthly votes chapter 240. Obito enters the Akatsuki. Boring. Scorpion snorted and turned to the direction of the Land of Demons. "Oh, by the way, please help me keep an eye on the Land of Demons. There is a monster called Chimay there. It is said to be left over from the Six Paths Sage period. If anyone unlocks the seal, please let me know. I need a more powerful summoning beast." Kanai's voice sounded again. I know. You are even more annoying than Bean." Scorpion waved his hand impatiently. The cave base where the One Tail was sealed. The ground was in a mess, with rubble and broken puppets everywhere. Obito looked at Zetsu and asked about the specific situation. Scorpion's chakra can no longer be sensed. Deidara's chakra is underground 700 meters northwest. It seems that he escaped. As for Kanai, that guy seems to have the means to sense chakra. I have never really sensed him. Black Zetsu replied. TSK, that guy. Obito snorted. Whenever Kanai was mentioned, a strong fear would emerge in his eyes. Then he seemed to think of something, and quickly adjusted his mentality, transformed into a scoundrel, and showed a wretched look. "So, Zetsu Senpai, since Scorpion Senpai is dead, there is a vacant position in the Akatsuki organization, so can I officially join?" White Zetsu and Black Zetsu had black lines on their foreheads, and they were speechless about Obito's sudden change. Then they reacted, and Black Zetsu said in a deep voice, "Let's find Scorpion's ring first." Hey. Obito, who turned into a scoundrel, was immediately full of energy, and began to search quickly. After a while, he found the puppet arm with the jade ring. Zetsu walked to the father and mother puppets, looked at the puppet lying between them, and after confirming that it was really Scorpion, he murmured, "Is this Scorpion's true body?" "Senior Zetsu, I found it. I found the ring left by Senior Scorpion." A fairy in the distance held Scorpion's ring and waved to Zetsu happily. How could it be so easy to join? White Zetsu showed his acting skills. "Isn't this good? A fairy is a good kid." Black Zetsu gave a different answer from White Zetsu. The cautious three people sang three reeds without the fourth person. "He is indeed a good kid, but he is an old kid over 100 years old." A clear voice suddenly sounded in the air. Zetsu and Obito subconsciously looked up and saw Kanai with lavender wings on his back. He leaned down and flew down, landing on the ground, bringing up a lot of dust. "Oh, Kanai, this is a cool wing speed. Is it your new ninjutsu?" White Zetsu exclaimed. "I guess so." Kanai answered casually, then looked at Scorpion and pretended to be surprised. "It seems that Scorpion is dead, which is really a pity. I would not have been lazy if I had known." "What are you doing here?" Obito frowned and returned to his usual tone of Uchiha Madara. My shadow clone was defeated by that Uzumaki brat and the daughter of the 5th Hokage. Just like you, I came here to retrieve the ring. What's wrong with that? Or do I need your permission to go anywhere? Lord Uchiha Madara. Kainai teased with a playful smile on his face. Obito frowned and thought to himself, this guy probably never believed that I was Uchiha Madara at all. Watch your attitude towards me. I'm still a trainee of Akatsuki, Afi. Kainai continued to tease. Okay, Afi. Then shouldn't you call me Kainai Senior? Okay, Kainai Senior, but from today on, I'm also a formal member of Akatsuki. Please give me your guidance. Obito suppressed the anger in his heart, put on his usual funny look, put on the ring, and saluted Kainai. Seeing Obito being humiliated, White Zetsu couldn't help but laugh like a pig. Haha, Kainai is really the nemesis of Afi. Shut up, White Zetsu. Black Zetsu turned his eyes to Kainai and changed the subject. Kainai, what exactly happened here? Kainai talked nonsense seriously. According to the memory of my shadow clone, the battlefield was divided into 3 areas at that time. My shadow clone fought against the 5th Hokage's disciple Uzumaki Karen and her daughter Chinatsu. Scorpion dealt with his grandmother Chiyo, and that tomboy named Hiruno Sakura. As for Deidara, he rode the detonating clay giant bad alone, took away Gaara's body, and attracted the Ninetales Jinchuriki. Kakashi followed, but it seems that he has failed. Fortunately, I saved my life. Now I can still sense his chakra. Where exactly it is, I think you know better than me. I have found the ring, and I'll leave Deidara's side to you. I guess Deidara doesn't want so many people to see his embarrassed appearance. Then, I'll go home first. After saying that, the purple cloud wings behind Kainai shot out, and with a slight vibration, the whole person flew into the sky with a whoosh, circled in the air for half a circle, and the body turned into a stream of blue-purple light, and disappeared into the sky. This guy. Looking at the place where Kainai disappeared, Obito and Zetsu glanced at each other, and a trace of fear flashed across their pupils, turning to rush in the direction of Deidara. On the other side, after Kainai disappeared from Obito and Zetsu's sight, he performed Flying Thunder God and came to the Hokage's office. At this time, there were only Tsunade and Shizune in the office. Master Kainai, you are really enough. Don't you know that this will scare people to death? Although it was not the first time that Kainai suddenly appeared, Shizune was still startled and couldn't help complaining. Sorry, isn't it that the matter over there is over? I was afraid that you would worry, so I specially notified you. Kainai smiled. What's the situation? Tsunade heard the words and asked hurriedly. It's okay. No one in Konoha died this time, but Akatsuki lost a member. I gained a trustworthy subordinate. Although Gaara was deprived of his one tail, he survived. Except for some minor sand ninjas who were killed by Akatsuki in this operation, no important characters died. It can be considered a happy ending. Kainai replied. Did the sun rise from the west? You are so kind as to save people. Tsunade stood up and gave up her office chair, waved her hand, and motioned Shizune to go out and keep watch. Kainai sat down on the office chair very naturally and then took Tsunade into his arms. It was not me who saved that Kazakage boy. It was Grandma Chiyo of Sand Village. She was moved by Naruto's determination to save Gaara, or by his persuasion, and use the reincarnation ninjutsu at the cost of her life to resurrect Gaara. And I just gave a senzu bean to that old woman Chiyo who didn't have many years to live for Chinatsu's sake. P.S. The third update. Please recommend on monthly votes chapter 241, Thousand Nights of Versailles. Knowing that everyone in Konoha was fine during this trip to Sunagakure, Tsunade's hanging heart was finally put back into her stomach. Then he asked, then what you did, does Sunagakure or Kakashi know? I entrusted Zyangrin to do this. Do you think I will let other people know? Kainai did not answer the question. That's true, but is this really good? You obviously didn't do anything evil this time, and you even helped Konoha and Sunagakure, but in the end you were reduced to being hated and despised by both parties. Is this really true? Okay. The soft voice asked twice in a row, and Tsunade looked at Kainai again, feeling inexplicably distressed. She felt that her little man was becoming more and more like the ninja that her grandfather, the first Hokage, described as a ninja who silently and selflessly devoted himself to the village. This is the true successor to the Will of Fire. Kainai didn't know what Tsunade was thinking. If he knew, he would probably laugh. He was not the heir to the Will of Fire. He was just a father who didn't want his daughter to be sad. Kainai answered with indifference and inadvertently said a very handsome love story. What happens to them is their business. I just want the people close to me to understand me. Tsunade smiled bitterly. You guy, I'm really handsome. Kainai chuckled. At this point, just when Tsunade thought Kainai was going to start the documentary, Tsunade is in the office. Shizune is outside the office. Kainai stood up and said, okay, the news has been conveyed. It's time for me to leave. Go? Where? Tsunade was stunned. Is the sun rising in the west today? This guy came to his office and left without doing anything. Of course we are going back to the Akatsuki organization base. Kainai's mouth was dangerous. He looked at Tsunade again with an aggressive gaze and said with a playful smile, maybe you want to do something before leaving. Bah, you are not serious. Is there no other topic between this guy and me other than that? Tsunade's nose was slightly sour and she turned her back to Kainai, her voice trembling. Kainai knew that Tsunade was insecure, so she stepped forward and hugged Tsunade from behind, saying softly, of course it's not just a matter of men and women, it's just that Akatsuki just lost a member, and as usual there will definitely be an all-member meeting. You also want your man and me to be suspected by those guys. I will come to you again in the evening. Yes. After hearing this, Tsunade felt much better and nodded slightly, sounding like a mosquito. See you tonight then. Kainai kissed Tsunade's earlobe gently and then took the opportunity to reach into her clothes and grab a handful. By the time Tsunade reacted, Kainai had already used Flying Thunder God and disappeared into the Hokage's office. Helpless, Tsunade had no choice but to stand there with a blushing face and stamp her feet angrily. This bastard. I thought I had made some progress, but in the end, I still remain lustful. After leaving Konoha, Kainai did not directly return to Mrs. Makoto's home. Instead, he came to Yikang's residence. Just as he expected, not long after the death of Scorpion was confirmed, Pain learned the news and immediately used the magic lantern body to summon the members of the Zanxio organization. It's still the dark cave, still the dark space. There is only a Zen lamp in the center, emitting a faint firelight. The illusory figures of Deoxio organization members appeared one after another around the Zen lantern. The only difference from usual is that this time there is no Scorpion, replaced by a Feni in the form of Obito. Deidara didn't come either, because his arm was broken by Camus, and he couldn't use his magic lantern body at the moment. Seniors, hello everyone. From today on, Fei and I are finally a formal member of our organization. Please give me your advice. Obito used a very funny voice and let out an awkward laugh. His vulgar and funny appearance left everyone speechless, with black lines appearing on their foreheads. What's going on? Where's the artistic duo? Kisame looked at Pain. Scorpio died in the hands of his grandmother, Granny Chiyo, and a little Konoha girl. Deidara's right arm was twisted by Kakashi's left eye Sharingan's pupil technique, and the other arm was catching her. When he was the tail Jinchuriki, he was crushed by the sand, and now he can't use the magic lantern body. Pain replied indifferently. Oh, one is dead and the other is disabled. It seems that the artistic duo really suffered heavy losses this time. Kisame teased with bloodshot eyes in his round eyes. Kisame, Scorpion and Deidara are all our companions. You should respect them. Pain frowned. Sorry, I'm rude, but from now on Fei will take the place of Scorpion. Kisame looked at Obito. A trace of suspicion flashed in his eyes. Although Obito's clothes, hairstyle and mask had changed, he still recognized him. The identity of the other party. Of course, he didn't know what the purpose of the other party's disguise was. Hearing this, Obito bowed obscenely to Kisame, as if he was answering the other party. Pain glanced at Obito, and in the depths of his pupils, there was a hint of fear, and he said in a deep voice, Afei, from today on, you are an official member of the Akatsuki organization, teaming up with Deidara. I hope you will not humiliate me. The identity of a member of the Akatsuki organization. Hey, Fei promises to complete the mission. Obito made an obscene salute and agreed. Pain ignored Fei and turned his gaze to Kakuzu. Kakuzu, I will take Deidara and Afeni to your side later. I will leave Deidara's arm to you. Find the second tail Jinchuriki as soon as possible after that. Implement the capture plan. I understand, Kakuzu said calmly. Looking around with the samurai, Pain continued to speak. Others should not relax. Find their respective mission targets as soon as possible and then wait for the opportunity to capture them in the order of the tail. Having said this, Pain turned to Kanai. Kanai Knight. Our goal has been achieved long ago. Don't push the 8 tails and 9 tails to us. Since the 5th Hokage took office, many good players have emerged in Konoha, but they are no longer as weak as during the time of Sarutobi Hiruzen. And Humogakure is a veteran military power. I don't want to go to other people's villages to arrest people alone. Although I have never been afraid of anyone in single combat, it doesn't matter if I face dozens or hundreds of jounin. You can't stand up to a pack of wolves. Before Pain could finish his words, Kanai acted as Versailles. This made Yi Kang cover his mouth and snicker. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the dark cave became silent. The members of the Zanxio organization all twitched their faces severely, and black lines appeared on their foreheads. They thought to themselves, you are not a good tiger, you can't stand up to a pack of wolves, you are obviously just trying to be lazy. PS. First update, please recommend and vote, please vote monthly chapter 242 goodbye Dao. After a long while, Peen spoke first, breaking the silent atmosphere in the field. Don't worry, the 9 tails must be captured last, and now is not the time. And the 8 tails Jinchuriki is the Raikage's younger brother. If he is captured now, the furious Raikage will probably start the 5 cage talks and directly alarm the 5 major countries, which is not conducive to the organization's next tail beast capture plan. So for the time being, I will not give you the task of capturing the 8 tails. For the time being? Kanai smiled indifferently. Then what do you plan to let me do? Peen said, Orochimaru has become restless again recently, and he is very likely to be eyeing the resurrected 3 tails. His subordinate Kabuto Yakushi is Scorpion's spy. 10 days later, at the Heaven and Earth Bridge in the Land of Grass, Scorpion originally planned to meet Kabuto there, after completing the mission of capturing the 1 tails, so as to find out the location of Orochimaru and completely get rid of him. But now Scorpion is dead. Among the members of Akatsuki, only you and Yi Kang do not have the task of capturing the tailed beast. The task of hunting down Orochimaru is given to you. You have dealt with Orochimaru so many times, and I believe no one is more suitable for this task than you. This task seems good. Kanai smiled lightly. It was just the right time for him to meet his stepson. That's it, disband. After saying that, Peen released the phantom body. Opening his eyes, Yi Kang did not ask Kanai when he would go to the Shiandi Bridge, but asked about the situation of the Sand Village. Because she knew that Kanai had the purple cloud wing and the flying thunder god and had secretly left the flying thunder god mark on the second pillar early on. No matter which one was used, Orochimaru could be found quickly. When she learned from Kanai that the cold-hearted village, facing the capture of the Wind Shadow Gaara, did not think about saving people, but only huddled in the village, guarding the 1/3 acre of land that no one cared about at all, Yi Kang was undoubtedly disappointed. Then she heard that Gaara had become the hero of the village, and her disappointment was replaced by surprise. It's really surprising that the kid could become the hero of the village. Speaking of heroes, Yi Kang couldn't help but feel a little disappointed and angry. She was abandoned by the village as a hero of the Sand Village. He's called a hero, but it's just because the tailed beast in his body no longer exists. Kanai showed disdain. If the kid still had the tailed beast in his body, do you think those people would really regard him as a hero? That's true. Yi Kang knew that Kanai was comforting her and leaned gently into Kanai's arms. Kanai also raised his hand and put it on Yi Kang's shoulder, smiling slightly. The two walked towards the bedroom tacitly. For the next period of time, Kanai's life became idle again. At night, he took turns to visit Yi Kang's house, Mrs. Makoto's room, Izumi's room, Tsunade's room, and Yuhi Kyono's room. Occasionally, he went to Hinata's room to see how she was feeling. In addition to practicing during the day, he traveled back and forth between Uian Village and Konoha to accompany his 2 daughters. Life is full of joy. Until the 10th day, Xiaonan finally couldn't stand it anymore and knocked on Kainai's door early in the morning. Kainai suddenly remembered that there was such a thing as the Shiandi Bridge. When he took Yikang to the Shiandi Bridge, Naruto, who had transformed into the Four Tails, was already fighting with Orochimaru. Kabuto Yakushi, Karin, Sakura Hiruno and Yamato, the acting captain of Team 7, stood on the other side of the bridge to watch the battle. "Hey, Kabuto, long time no see." Kainai appeared beside Kabuto with Yikang quietly and patted him on the shoulder. Kabuto suddenly got alert and his figure immediately retreated, holding 3 kunai in his right hand, locking the figure of the person who came and throwing it out. It's no wonder that Kabuto had such a big reaction, because this sudden sound really shocked Kabuto too much. You know, as a ninja, if someone touches your back and you don't know it, it's equivalent to a dead person. "Kabuto, it's not wise to attack me." The calm voice sounded again. The 3 kunai that Kabuto fired had fallen into Kainai's hands, and he caught them softly and played with them in his hands. "Master Kainai." Kabuto's forehead was covered with cold sweat, his voice was trembling, and without any hesitation, he knelt down on one knee. "Sorry, Master Kainai, I thought it was someone from Konoha who attacked me. If I offended you, please forgive me." Yakushi Kabuto knew that the guy in front of him was an existence with unfathomable strength and means. Lord Orochimaru praised him as a more difficult existence in the Akatsuki organization than Pain. If the other party wanted to kill someone at this moment, even Orochimaru himself, whom he respected the most, would find it difficult to escape. On the other side, Yamato, Karin, and Sakura also discovered Kainai and the other two. Sakura and Yamato, who knew how terrifying Kainai was, were both frightened and pale, and broke out in cold sweats, and Karin almost drooled. If there weren't so many outsiders around, she would have rushed over and rubbed against Kainai crazily. "Don't worry, I don't mean to blame you. I know you are just defending yourself." Kainai smiled faintly, turned his eyes to Yamato and the other two, and his face was filled with the harmless smile that he always had. "It seems that there are many familiar people here today. Captain Yamato, this is Fujiwara Kainai." Sakura's eyes were blurred when she met Kainai's eyes. She swallowed hard and reminded Yamato in a low voice, "I know." As Kainai's guide in the Anbu, Yamato naturally knew Kainai, but he could never have imagined that a ninja who was so excellent in his heart would become a traitor to Konoha today. At the same time, he couldn't help but start to get anxious secretly. Now Naruto is fighting with Orochimaru, and they can't evacuate. Suddenly, 2 members of the Akatsuki organization appeared. As expected, they came to capture the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. One of them is even more powerful than Orochimaru. Can they really leave safely today like the Kazekage took back the mission? Kainai understood Yamato's eyes, smiled faintly, and greeted him. "Hey, Senior Tenzang." "Oh no, I should call you Yamato now. Senior Yamato, long time no see. It has been 7 or 8 years since the Uchiha clan was exterminated." "Yeah, it's been a long time." Yamato pretended to be calm and asked carefully, "Then can you not attack the Konoha ninja today because of our previous acquaintance?" "Of course, because the Nine Tails Jinchuriki is not my mission. This time I came here to find Orochimaru. Now it seems that it's almost over," Kainai said calmly. While the few people were talking, Naruto, who had transformed into the Four Tails, was knocked away by Orochimaru with a Kusanagi sword. PS. Second update, I got off work late today, and the third update is still being written, and will be updated chapter 243, Orochimaru is blackmailed for the last time. Boom. Naruto, who had transformed into the four-tailed beast, was pushed to the other side of the bridge by Orochimaru's Kusanagi sword, which had been extended to hundreds of meters. A huge pit was smashed. When the smoke cleared, Naruto's figure was revealed. Orochimaru's Kusanagi sword was stabbing Naruto's chest with all his strength. With the protection of the tailed beast outer garment, the Kusanagi sword did not hurt Naruto at all. And Orochimaru's neck also extended hundreds of meters. His head was suspended in the sky, his long hair fluttering, looking down at everything below from a high position. Even the Kusanagi sword can't pierce Naruto's high-density chakra. This body is almost at its limit. There is not much point in continuing to fight. Thinking of this, Orochimaru subconsciously glanced to the side. When he saw Kainai appear beside Naruto, he was immediately shocked. Damn it, why can't Kainai stay there? I have to leave quickly. It's not a good idea to be entangled with such a troublesome guy. Just when Orochimaru was about to retract the Kusanagi sword, Naruto, who had transformed into a tailed beast, moved. He raised his claws, grabbed the blade of the Kusanagi sword, and swung it violently. The bright white blade actually swept towards Kainai and others. Wherever it passed, trees, rubble, and broken bridges were cut vertically and split into two. Not good. Karin, get down quickly. Yamato, who was close, rushed to knock Sakura down. And under Tsunede's unremitting teaching in the past few years, Karin, who has been promoted to a Jonin and has a strong sense, jumped up and dodged almost the moment Yamato shouted this. The Kusanagi sword continued to move forward and swept towards Kainai and others. Just as the Kusanagi sword was about to sweep towards Kainai, Kainai did not dodge, but suddenly raised his right hand and extended his index finger with a ding sound. Orochimaru's Kusanagi sword was caught by him with a single finger. It was blocked with a single finger. This scared Kabuto, who was the farthest away and was about to jump up to avoid it. Sakura and Yamato, who were lying on the ground, were also scared. They once again witnessed the power of Kainai, and Karin looked at Kainai with admiration and love. She held her blushing face with both hands, her eyes obviously lit up, and whispered in her heart, "You are really handsome, Master Kainai." As for Yi Kang, he was no longer surprised by this. It seems that your Lord Orochimaru has run out of tricks when facing Naruto, who has transformed into a tailed beast. Kainai discussed with Kabuto with a smile. The index finger and thumb slowly overlapped and pinched the Kusanagi sword. Orochimaru, who was under control, wanted to take back the Kusanagi, but he could not shake the sword at all. "Master Kainai, what's the matter with you finding Master Orochimaru?" Kabuto smiled slightly, neither admitting nor refuting, because he couldn't afford to offend either Orochimaru or Kainai. Of course, I wouldn't come to him if there was nothing wrong. The mission I received this time is to kill Orochimaru, who made Orochimaru set his sights on the three-tailed beast. Kainai nodded. Kabuto's face darkened, and he thought to himself, is that right? Then he recalled Orochimaru's evaluation of Kainai, and a flattering smile suddenly appeared on his face. "Master Kainai, you really like to joke. How can Akatsuki decide your will? And don't you want to see the ending of Sasuke and Master Orochimaru? If Master Orochimaru dies here, wouldn't you have less fun?" "That's true." Kainai didn't comment and let go of the Kusanagi sword, and Orochimaru slowly retracted the Kusanagi sword. Kainai changed the subject, "But I'm sure you know my rules." Kabuto was stunned. "Rules?" Then he recalled the history of Orochimaru being blackmailed and quickly reacted, "Flattering, of course. Please follow me." As he said that, Kabuto turned to Orochimaru and made a gesture of invitation to Kainai. At this moment, Naruto, who had transformed into a tailed beast, moved again, completely losing his mind. He roared to the sky and pointed his spear at Kainai. The nine-tailed demon fox in his body felt a disgusting feeling from Kainai. The huge demon fox claw stretched out, but before it could get close to Kainai, it was tied up by a golden chain. Then 4 more chains extended out, binding the four-tailed Naruto completely. "Quick, Captain Yamato, quickly get Naruto out of the tailed beast state," Karin shouted anxiously. "I know." Yamato quickly reacted, quickly formed seals with both hands, and quickly performed would release. Kabuto looked in the direction of the chain in surprise, and found that the chain that bound Naruto actually extended from Karin's body. He couldn't help but feel very surprised. The Hokage's apprentice actually stopped Naruto from attacking Kainai. Why? Is there any relationship between them? Or did he know the consequences of attacking Kainai and stopped it in advance? Before Kabuto could think more, Kainai on the side gave the answer. "Little girl, good judgment. If you had attacked me just now, I'm afraid that except for the Jinchuriki, no one in Konoha would be able to leave alive today." After that, Kainai nodded to Karin and rushed towards Orochimaru with Yikang. Kabuto followed closely behind, thinking to himself, it seems to be the second one. Hearing Kainai's words, Xianglin became crazy again. holding her flushed face with both hands, with a silly smile on her face, and kept repeating in her heart, Master Kainai just praised me, Master Kainai just praised me. This is crying. Yamato, who was trying his best to seal the nine tails, said, Xianglin, seriously, if you keep doing this, Naruto will break free. However, no matter how he called, Xianglin did not respond, still immersed in Kainai's praise. As a result, Yamato was exhausted. On the other side, Kainai and his group had come to Orochimaru. Looking at Orochimaru crawling out of his mouth, Kainai showed his contempt without hiding it. It's really as disgusting as always. Orochimaru, snake spits snake, snake spits sword, you spit snake, snake spits you. Except for these disgusting ninjutsu, don't you know anything else? Or, your hands haven't been found yet. I told you how to find your hands back at the beginning. Orochimaru frowned and raised his hands, and Orochimaru was furious. But now the situation is stronger than the person. Although Orochimaru is very dissatisfied with this guy, who has repeatedly calculated, humiliated, and blackmailed him, it is not appropriate to tear his face before obtaining Sasuke's body. Thinking of this, Orochimaru's brows relaxed instantly, and he changed the subject. Kainai-kun is still as fond of joking as ever. So what does Kainai-kun want to get from this time? It seems that there is nothing here that is worthy of your attention. That's hard to say. Don't you still have an impure world reincarnation? I think it's quite interesting. And haven't you been collecting the corpses of strong people in recent years? Kainai narrowed his eyes slightly. Orochimaru was stunned and suddenly laughed. Don't be funny, Kainai-kun. You have always believed in your own strength. You are not interested in the dead. P.S. The third update. Please recommend and vote for the monthly ticket. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244. As soon as they met, they saw Kainai beating Uzi. It seems you really understand me, Orochimaru. Kainai did not deny it, and glanced deep into the forest, where there was a Yamato would escape clone hidden there. He said straight to the point. Let's get straight to the point. The training method of dust release, the most primitive cells of the first Hokage, and by the way, meet my second pillar again. If you meet these three conditions, you can save a life today, and I can also promise you, I won't hunt you down anymore. Of course, the premise is that you don't provoke me. A sinister smile appeared on Orochimaru's face. Kainai-kun's appetite is as big as ever. There's no problem with meeting Sasuke. I can also give you the cells. But Chendunk is the only blood successor eliminated in the ninja world today, so can I understand that Kainai-kun has integrated the three chakra attributes of fire, wind, and earth? Yes, of course. Kainai nodded and did not deny it. Hearing this, Orochimaru became uneasy for a moment. He stuck out his tongue and licked his lips, with a sinister smile on his face. His long golden pupils could no longer conceal their greed. It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. I really didn't expect that Kainai-kun would even accomplish this. You haven't answered my question yet. Also, don't look at me like that, or I'll kill you. He threatened with a smile. Sorry, when I see something beautiful, I can't help but want it. Even if I can't get it, I just want it. Orochimaru smiled and said, but unfortunately, Chendon is no one has access to the top secrets of Tsuchikage village, except the past Tsuchikage and the heirs of Tsuchikage, so even if you kill me, I can't give it to you. You don't need to worry about it, as long as you do as I say. If you do, I will have a way to get it. Let's go back to your base first, Kainai said, releasing the radiation, and sensing the chakra of Ursu. He led Yikang towards the second pillar. Lord Orochimaru, Lord Kainai seems to have found our Sasuke's location through his perception. What should we do now? Kabuto looked at Orochimaru and asked hesitantly. First let's see what kind of medicine he is selling in his gourd. Orochimaru's face suddenly turned ugly. He let out a light tut and chased in the direction of Kainai and the other two. Kabuto followed. Orochimaru secretly thought, I still need to be patient. I still have Sasuke. As long as I get Sasuke's body, then I will have nothing to fear. I didn't expect that even Orochimaru would be so afraid of Kanai. He is really a dangerous guy. Why does he want the cells of the first master? And what does my second pillar mean? And it's also marked. In addition, Akatsuki seems to have asked Kanai to kill Orochimaru this time, but Kanai chose to blackmail Orochimaru. What does he want to do? It's an unsolved mystery. After the group left, Yamato's wooden escape clone came out from behind the tree, and a huge storm arose in his mind. Finally, the mutant clone let out a long sigh, and began to contact the main body. Half a day later, Kanai and the other 4 stopped in front of an inaccessible rock mountain. Boom, the cliff opened, and a grey sealed passage covered with talismans appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Orochimaru, you really like living in dark and humid places as always. Don't you have a normal place to live? Kanai sensed the location of Naruto, Zyangrin and others, and looked at Orochimaru with a look of disgust on his face. Meru said, go in, Sasuke is inside. I will give you the first generation cells in a moment. Orochimaru rolled his eyes, walked in, and said to his heart, you think I really like this kind of ghost place? If not to avoid Konoha and the pursuit of the Akatsuki organization, the devil is willing to come. The 4 people walked in the dark secret passage. The walls on both sides of the secret passage were hung with white candles, and the candlelight was swaying. There were only the footsteps of 4 people in the secret passage. Invisibly, the addition adds a sense of gloom and weirdness to the atmosphere soon. The 4 of them came to a dark stone hall. Directly above the stone hall, there is a stone snake head with a huge mouth open. 2 pillars are wasted with Kusanagi swords, sitting under the snake head in an awesome posture. Under the dim light of the stone chamber, it looks quite impressive. It's too slow. Didn't you agree to accompany me to practice the new ninjutsu in the afternoon? Orochimaru. Who slowly raised his eyelids, revealing a pair of enchanting Scholar 3 Magatama Sharingan, and spoke with an almost command in a tone of voice. He said to Orochimaru. Hearing Sasuke's words, Kabuto frowned in dissatisfaction. Orochimaru was not angry, but explained patiently. This scene made Kanai on the side laugh out loud. Is there anything funny? Kanai-kun. Orochimaru frowned slightly, and looked at Kanai. Yeah, it's quite funny. Kanai nodded slightly, and turned to Ursuzi, making eye contact with him. When Ursuzi was crying and begging me to teach him to become stronger, he didn't hesitate to call me daddy, but he ended up like you. But instead raised him as his father. Don't you think it's funny? Is this true? Orochimaru looked at Sasuke with some surprise. This guy who is the only one in the world, would actually call Kanai daddy. The image of him calling Kanai daddy 3 years ago came to mind. For a moment, his originally cold face felt hot, and he felt like he was socially dead. In anger, he suddenly opened his eyes and cast an illusion spell on Kanai. Stop! Sasuke Kabuto shouted anxiously when he saw Sasuke suddenly taking action against Kanai. He was not worried about Kanai or Sasuke himself, but he was worried about the container of Lord Orochimaru, whom he admired most. You know, Kanai has a nickname in the ninja world called Phantom God, and his reputation even surpasses that of Uchiha Itachi who defeated Orochimaru-sama. To perform illusions in front of the Phantom God, this is not the old man hanging himself. Do you think you have a long life? But Ursu ignored him, and still did not stop using illusions on Kanai. Being in the illusion space of Ursu, Kanai did not show the slightest surprise. He smiled, looked up at the huge 3 Magatama pattern above the illusion space, and murmured, is it an illusion? It's a bit of a juggling act. Meaning, but it's far behind Itachi's Tsukuyomi. Ursuzi, didn't you always feel that I didn't teach you anything when you called me dad last time? Today, I will make an exception and teach you Jinjutsu. Listen, the duel of Jinjutsu is a duel of spiritual energy, and the power of the eyes, that your Uchiha clan often mentions, is one of them. Just like the 3 Magatama, it will never be possible. It's like defeating Kaleidoscope. With your spiritual energy alone, I don't need to disturb my own chakra. I can easily break it by just releasing my spiritual energy. As he spoke, a large amount of spiritual energy penetrated Kanai's body came out, and then exploded. A scream was heard, and the illusion space of the two pillars was like paper, instantly collapsed and fragmented. Blood flowed from Ursu's eyes. He covered his eyes and his body was shaking violently. PS. First update. Please vote for recommendations. Please vote for monthly tickets. There are 2 more updates. Update later. Accompanied in a chapter 245. Ursu who doubts his life. PS. Update first, then correct the typist Sasuke. Kabuto, hurry. Seeing the blood oozing from the eyes of the second pillar, Orochimaru was heartbroken and hurriedly ordered Kabuto to check on the second pillar. If the second pillar was blind, then his 3 years of hard work would be in vain. Get out of here. The second pillar shook Kabuto off and opened his eyes with all his strength. The blood blurred his eyes, and he could barely see Kainai's figure. In an instant, he drew out the Kusanagi sword and slashed at him. Stop. Sasuke. Seeing Sasuke was going to attack Kainai beyond his ability, Orochimaru shouted. But the second pillar ignored him and slashed at him without hesitation. Don't worry, Orochimaru, I won't kill Sasuke. Kainai didn't even look at the second pillar and stretched out his right hand the moment he drew his sword and slashed at him. There was a ding sound. The Kusanagi sword was caught by Kainai's index finger. How is this possible? He only used one finger. Sasuke's pupils suddenly dilated, and he looked incredulous. Although Orochimaru and Kabuto had seen Kainai catch the Kusanagi sword with one finger on the Shiandi bridge, they still couldn't help but be shocked. Kainai's strength was stronger than 3 years ago, and he had surpassed the scope of ninjas. He reached a whole new realm. As for Yi Kang, he was no longer surprised, and stood behind Kainai from beginning to end. You've indeed improved a lot compared to 3 years ago, but your impulsiveness hasn't changed at all. You're attacking me like this. Are you trying to kill yourself? Kainai slightly bent his index finger, pinched the Kusanagi sword, and added with a smile, with your level of skills, if you face Daisaozi, unless he lets him off, I'm afraid you can be defeated with just one illusion. Let me teach you the second lesson. Physical skills. Never try to play physical skills with someone who is better than you, especially in swordsmanship. You're just a rookie who has been playing with a sword for 3 years. In front of a real swordsman master, your swordsmanship is like a child's game. You bastard. Sasuke did not yell like he did 3 years ago, nor was he easily angered. While marveling at Kainai's powerful strength, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and his hand holding the Kusanagi sword tightened. A powerful electric current was released from his palm, instantly covering the entire Kusanagi sword. This is the Chidori blade. The blade is infused with lightning chakra. Its power is enough to easily cut off a kunai, and the opponent stabbed will be paralyzed and unable to move. However, it is useless to Kainai. The Chidori blade that is powerful enough to cut off a kunai is like a fire stick. Kainai still holds it with his index finger and says with a smile, inject lightning chakra into the blade. It's a good idea, but unfortunately, it's useless. Lesson 3. Never play lightning escape with someone who is more proficient in lightning escape than you. Otherwise, you will be very miserable. While speaking, an electric current that is many times stronger than Sasuke's is released from Kainai's hand, rushing along the Kusanagi sword and covering the whole body of Nejiru in the blink of an eye. Nejiru screamed miserably. He was electrocuted to death. At the critical moment, Nejiru decisively let go of the Kusanagi sword in his hand, and his body suddenly exploded back, pulling away from Kainai, quickly forming seals with both hands, and holding his left wrist with his right hand. The next moment, a ball of lightning appeared on his left hand. At the same time, the curse seal on the left side of Nejiru's neck lit up with fire, and a large black seal spread out, covering his entire body. Then, Nejiru's body began to change. His hair grew longer, a pair of wings that looked like hands grew behind him, and a cross pattern appeared in the middle of his face. Even the Chidori in his left hand turned pitch black. In this short moment, Kainai clearly felt that Nejiru's chakra had increased several times. The power of the curse seal. As a juggler, it's not bad. Kainai glanced at Orochimaru lightly, took a step forward, and Nejiru, who had transformed, was startled and subconsciously stepped back, pulling away from Kainai. Kainai stopped and smiled. Why do you want to keep a distance? If you want to defeat me, you should get close to me and use your best Chidori. Or are you afraid that, if you get close to me, any part of my figure may disappear from your sight? You bastard. Humiliation. Heavy humiliation. At this moment, the psychological defense of the second pillar was on the verge of collapse. In order to ease the fear in his heart, he almost bit out these words from the gap between his teeth. Kainai did not answer the second pillar, and continued to talk to himself. If that's the case, it's just unnecessary trouble. The fighting distance will have meaning only when the opponent's strength is equal. So the fighting distance between you and me has no meaning. At this point, Kainai had already come to Sasuke and pressed his left hand on his chest. Look, just like this, my palm has touched your heart. How could it be? The second pillar's eyes were sluggish, cold sweat flowed on his forehead, and his pupils trembled slightly. He stood there for a long time before acting, waving his left hand Chidori to slash at Kainai. The result was undoubtedly that he killed loneliness. Kainai flashed and returned to Yikang's side. Orochimaru and Kabuto were also shocked. They looked at Sasuke, then looked at Kainai, and the two looked at each other with a solemn look in their eyes. Just now, no one in the scene saw how Kainai moved in front of Sasuke, and they didn't even see how he made a hand seal. An illusion? This was the common thought in the minds of Hashira, Orochimaru, and Kabuto at the moment. This is not an illusion, it's just the most basic ability of Lord Kainai. Lord Kainai's strength. Yikang understood the thoughts of the three people and finally spoke. His voice was cold and a little cold. Enough, Yikang, don't say extra words. Kainai interrupted Yikang, and the latter immediately shut up. Kainai turned and walked to the exit of the stone hall, and said to Nejiru with his back to him, Nejiru, since you once called me father, I will teach you one last lesson. If you want to play with lightning escape, play with lightning escape. If you want to play with illusion, play with illusion. If you want to play with sword, play with sword. But if you use lightning escape to challenge a lightning escape master, use illusion to challenge an illusion master, and use a sword to challenge a sword master, unless the opponent holds back like me, it will be a problem whether you can survive. At this point, Kainai glanced at Orochimaru and Kabuto on the side. Orochimaru, Kabuto, take me to visit your laboratory, and then give me what I need. After that, Kainai took Yikang and walked outside. It seems that Sasuke has suffered a great blow this time. Forget it, let him stay alone for a while. Orochimaru took a deep look at Sasuke and turned to walk out of the stone hall. As for Kabuto, he had been bullied by Orochimaru a lot in the past 3 years. Seeing Orochimaru being humiliated, he felt particularly relieved. He chuckled and followed Orochimaru out. Chapter 246 Orochimaru. There were only 2 pillars left in the hall that doubted life. Ursu collapsed on the ground, and the cursed seal of the sky slowly faded away, returning to his original handsome appearance. Until now, he has not recovered from the blow just now. He didn't expect that 3 years had passed. He had been practicing hard for 3 years. He thought he had caught up with Kainai, but unexpectedly he was still so vulnerable. The gap is like a chasm, bottomless. When can I kill Itachi like this? At the same time outside world, Yamato, Koru, Sakura, and Naruto have arrived outside the base. It should be here. Seeing that the boulder had been closed again in front of him, Yamato turned his head and looked at Xiang Rin. Xiang Rin, please. I know. Xiang Rin formed a seal with his right hand and entered the state of perception. She brought the chakras of Hagura, Kabuto, Orochimaru, and Sasuke into her range of perception. When she sensed Kainai's chakra, Koru's nymphomania relapsed, and blood flowed from her nostrils. What's wrong, Xianglin? Yamato was startled and asked urgently. Naruto and Sakura also cast concerned glances. Sakura took out a handkerchief and handed it to Xianglin. Senior sister Xianglin, what's wrong with you? It's nothing. I just sensed an unusually large amount of chakra. Xianglin wiped away the nosebleed and said with a guilty conscience. Does that mean Fujiwara Chiya is also inside? Yamato said to Xianglin with a solemn expression. As an Anbu directly under the Hokage, Yamato naturally knows a lot of information about Kainai, one of which has an unusually large chakra, although this information is not of much use. Xianglin nodded. Not just Kainai Day. There is also the member of the female Akatsuki organization, Orochimaru, and Kabuto. They are all in there. Sasuke, where is Sasuke? Sakura and Naruto heard this and asked in unison. I did sense the fifth chakra inside, but that person's chakra was very cold and very different from Sasuke 3 years ago. I can't confirm it. Xianglin sensed it again and answered in a deep voice. Yamato said, the Sharingan of the Uchiha Itachi clan can open its eyes through strong emotional stimulation and continue to evolve. In the process of evolution, it means that a lot of things will be lost, and the chakra will also become dark and cold. According to intelligence, although Sasuke's Sharingan has not reached the level of Manjaki like Itachi, it has reached the level of 3 Megatama. It seems that this fifth chakra should be Sasuke's. Did you lose a lot? Sakura and Naruto heard. He said, lowering his eyes in despair, feeling inexplicably complicated in his heart. Seeing the emotional changes of the two of them, Yamato didn't know what to say. Just like in the original work, he gave Xianglin, Naruto, and Sakura the wood escape seeds, and then used the wood escape to create a tunnel leading to the underground aisle. The 4 people jumped down one after another, and the infiltration plan officially began. On the other side, Kainai has arrived at Orochimaru's laboratory. It's really a simple laboratory, but the experimental equipment is surprisingly complete. Speaking of which, Orochimaru, besides studying snakes, don't you know how to study other things? Kainai glanced at the snake-shaped experiment in the ample material, walked to the bookshelf, took out a book and read it. In the past, he would have been unable to understand these profound medical ninjutsu books, but since acquiring the god-level medical ninjutsu, these knowledge have become as simple as children's books. Haha, Kainai-kun, I made you laugh. Orochi was already used to Kainai's rhetoric, and then changed the subject. Kainai-kun, are you also interested in these medical books? While speaking, Orochimaru waved to Kabuto, who understood the situation, and walked to a wall, and formed a seal with his hands. The wall automatically opened a circular entrance, and Kabuto walked in. Kainai said casually, I can't say I'm interested. I'm just going out. If I don't have medical ninjutsu, I encounter poison or something, or my combat power is greatly reduced due to injuries, and I'm chased by the enemy, I won't even cry. I've been crying. So I've dabbled a little in the past few years. Then can I understand that the medicine that Danzo and Sarutobi assumed rank when they were pregnant was made by you, Kainai-kun? At this point, Orochimaru became obviously interested, and his long golden vertical pupils shone with a strange light. It seems you know a lot. Kainai narrowed his eyes slightly. A trace of curiosity and greed flashed across Orochimaru's eyes. Of course, that old guy Danzo has been hiding since you exposed the first generation cells and Sharingan in his right arm, but the child has stayed. One of the children even inherited a trace of the first Hokage's genes, and was able to use simple wood escape, although it was weaker than Yamato. It seems that you are very interested in that potion, Kainai. He smiled and said. Orochimaru did not deny it. Being able to make a man pregnant and give birth to female specific organs out of thin air is very attractive to people like us who like to do research. If Kainai-kun can give me some experimental materials, that's the best thing. If it doesn't work, you can just give it to me. Drink? Kainai's mouth twitched. Are you sure? Yikang also looked at Orochimaru with a look of disdain. Orochimaru was already perverted enough, but she didn't expect that he could be even more perverted than she imagined. A grown man actually wants to have a child. TSK. It's really perverted. Of course. Orochimaru didn't pay attention to Yikang's gaze. People like him have already seen through the matter of men and women. In order to live forever, he even took away women's bodies. As for pregnancy, that's out of the question. As long as it can clear his doubts. He was very curious about things like male pregnancy and couldn't wait to start researching it. Okay, open your mouth and I'll help you. Kainai took out a ball of water about the size of a fingernail from the system warehouse and let it float in his hand. Orochimaru opened his mouth as he was told. Under Orochimaru's excited and expectant eyes, Kainai flicked the water from the Zimu River accurately into Orochimaru's mouth. As a master of human body structure, Orochimaru quickly noticed the changes in his body and was surprised to find that the moment he drank Kainai's potion, there was actually an extra female specific organ, the uterus, in his body. This is At this moment, Orochimaru was so excited, as if he had discovered a new world. His body and voice trembled slightly, and he looked at Kainai again, without the prejudice of the past, but with a hint of praise. Wonderful, it is so wonderful. Oh, Kainai-kun. I didn't expect you to be able to survive this kind of thing. You are simply a genius. If you let those ninjas with special abilities or rare blood inheritance limit talents use it, it would be a disaster. Geniuses can be produced in batches. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 247 Uzi comes to visit again. Kainai couldn't bear to look at it directly. Then you can be beautiful slowly. Every day that the embryo is in your body is equivalent to 1 month of development, and you can give birth in 10 days at most. Speaking of this, Kainai seemed to thinking of something. A wicked smile appeared on his face. Oh, by the way, there is one more thing I need to remind you. Anyone who drinks the water of this mother river will definitely give birth to a baby girl, who can be hundreds of thousands of years old. 100% inherit your genes. But if you still want to give birth, you have to find a man. You can consider Uzu. Maybe you can give birth to an Uchiha descendant. Orochimaru stuck out his long and thick tongue, licked his lips, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. That's really a good suggestion. You can consider serving as my backup container. Kainai was speechless for a while. He didn't expect Orochimaru to be so perverted that he wanted to have a child with Uzu. Then I will be a good person and do it to the end. This is for you. The same model that was used by those old guys Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen. Type. There is also a medicine to increase the ability of men. As he spoke, Kainai threw out a bottle of I love Ichijoche and a pill. Then I'm welcome. Orochimaru accepted it happily. At this moment, Kabuto walked out of the secret room with the test tube in his hand. Kabuto and Orochimaru looked at each other, and the latter nodded. So Kabuto sent the test tube to Kainai. Sir Kainai, these are the first generation cells you want. I told you, you want the most original ones. You have diluted it countless times, so don't show it to embarrass yourself. Kainai just glanced at it and lost interest. Now Orochimaru finally believed that Kainai had good medical ninjutsu skills, and winked at Kabuto, who immediately took out a test tube from the ninja tool bag on his lower back. Kainai took it and looked at it carefully. After confirming that it was genuine, he put it into the system warehouse. Ding, a special bloodline has been detected. Can the host be fused? Not fused yet. Kainai whispered in his heart and then said to Orochimaru, you have completed both conditions, and there is one last condition. Then Kainai-kun, how do you plan to transform from the third Tsuchikage? What about obtaining dust escape? After hearing this, Orochimaru also became interested. Who said I was going to get it from that old man? Haven't you been collecting the corpses of strong men for the past few years, planning something? Kainai said his method. I must be a ninja of the second generation Tsuchikage's level. You won't let him go either. Just take him out and use Jinjutsu to interrogate him. Kainai-kun, you should know that I can't use the Earth reincarnation because my hands are sealed. Orochimaru was a little disappointed. He thought that the other party planned to plot against Inoki, just like he plotted against old man Sarutobi. Who said you were asked to use the dirt reincarnation? Just because you can't use it, doesn't mean that others can't. At this point, Kainai turned his eyes to Kabuto, with a smile that said humans and animals are harmless. Reincarnation in dirty soil? How did he know? Kabuto was startled, and a flash of panic flashed in his eyes. But he is a spy after all. He immediately reacted, with a flattering smile on his face, and pretended to be puzzled. Master Kainai, why are you looking at me like this? I will not be reincarnated. No one can allow this. Kainai said, Kabuto, do you know why I have always looked at you with an equal eye? Not like the 4 dead sound ninjas. Kabuto shook his head slowly. Kainai said seriously, because you are an extremely rare talent. Although you have been imitating Orochimaru, learning his style, his ninjutsu, and everything about him, there is no doubt about your talent. You may not be able to fully perform the reincarnation of the earth now, but it will be different in the near future. You will surpass Orochimaru. Sir Kainai, I don't understand what you are talking about. Kabuto half lowered his head, his eyes were covered by the reflection of the lenses. He looked sideways at Orochimaru and found that he seemed to have not heard the two people talking. He was talking to himself on the side, as if he was talking to something. This shocked Kabuto. He knew that, as expected, his Lord Orochimaru had fallen into Kainai's illusion. Then come to me, after you can understand. I believe you won't be too far away today, Kainai said, turned around and led Yikang out of the secret room. At this time, Orochimaru, who was controlled by Kyoka Sujetsu, but was unaware of it, also gave an order to Kabuto. Kabuto, go over and arrange distinguished guests for you, Kainai-kun and the others. I will carry out the dust escape matter after I regain my hands. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto said with cold sweat dripping from his forehead. Lord Orochimaru, you just fell into Kainai's illusion. Of course, he didn't dare to say this, because if Orochimaru knew that he had secretly learned the soil reincarnation, even if it was just suspicion, there was no guarantee that he would not be killed. Not long after, Kabuto prepared a room for the two of Kainai. Not long after walking away, the door to the room opened again with a creak. Ursu came in. You're finally here. Kainai sat behind the square table while Yikang poured tea for him. Kainai picked up the teacup, took a sip, and said, sit down. Kainai, tell me how can I become as strong as you? Ursu walked to sit across from Kainai and asked straight to the point. Haha, you can change your face faster than you can turn the pages of a book. Just now you were clamoring to kill me, and now you're actually coming over to ask me how to become stronger? A hint of sarcasm appeared on Kainai's lips. Ursu said seriously, you should have something. I have just experienced your strength deeply. I will not be your opponent. Orochimaru is not your opponent, not even Itachi. Tell me quickly, how can I become as strong as you? Then you call Dad to hear it. If I'm happy, I might teach you a move to improve your strength and surpass Orochi, the level of Meru's heyday. A playful smile suddenly appeared on Kainai's face. You. Ursu blushed instantly. Although he knew Kainai wouldn't teach him, he still asked tentatively, are you sure you won't play tricks on me again? Kainai said, it's not like playing tricks. You are the second time you called me daddy, I gave you the beheading sword and signed the Ryochi Cave psychic scroll for you. The second time you called me daddy, I saved you from Orochimaru. Otherwise, you would still be able to stand. Are you pretending to be cool in front of me and then get slapped in the face by me? Have you ever suffered a loss? When Sasuke heard that, it seemed like that, so he swallowed. In order to become stronger and defeat Itachi, he finally decided to do it. He hesitated and shouted, Dad. PS. Third update. Please vote for recommendations and monthly votes. Chapter 248, Nezuko vs. Karin. Hearing that Ursu, who was just worshipped as a father by Orochimaru, now called Kainai Dad, Yikang chuckled and couldn't help laughing. He covered his red lips. Good boy. Kainai rubbed Ursu's hedgehog head. This made Ursu extremely ashamed and angry. His face turned blue and purple. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said to Kainai, now how are you going to teach me to become stronger? Of course. Kainai pursed his lips, pondered for a moment, and suddenly his smile faded. No. Are you kidding me? Ursu stood up and slammed the table, instantly becoming angry. I only said that I won't let you suffer any loss, and I didn't say I would teach you to become stronger. How could I be kidding you? Kainai chuckled. Ursu was so angry that his lungs were about to explode and his pair of Sharingan almost spewed fire. Don't be impatient. If I don't teach you, do you have no other way to become stronger? Kainai took a sip from the teacup. I wonder if you have heard of the reincarnation of the living corpse? Nibashi left with the intention of coveting Orochimaru's soul, just as Orochimaru coveted his body. After learning the weakness of the reincarnation of the living corpse from Kainai, he set his sights on Orochimaru's soul. As long as he devoured Orochimaru's soul in turn, he could get everything from Orochimaru. Then, with his Sharingan and the Heaven's Curse, he firmly believed that he would be able to challenge Itachi. Master Kainai, why did you tell Uchiha Sasuke this? Yikang asked hesitantly. Kainai smiled and said, don't you think this is interesting? Nezuko covets Orochimaru's soul, and Orochimaru covets Nezuko's body, and even wants to have a baby for Nezuko. Hearing this, Yikang suddenly recalled the Viagra that Kunai gave to Orochimaru, and I love a piece of firewood, and felt his hair stand on end. TSK, it seems that the two sides are destined to have a big fight. On the other side, after leaving, Nizuzi was about to go back to the room to rest, and at the same time, think about how to deal with Orochimaru. Suddenly, several vine-like wood burst out from the ground, and tied him up instantly. At the same time, Yamato's voice sounded, would release, thorn killing technique. As soon as the voice fell, a tree stump emerged from the stone wall beside him, and then retracted, propping up a big hole in the stone wall, and Yamato climbed out of it. Next came Hiruno Sakura, Naruto, and Karen. Sasuke. Naruto and Sakura saw Sasuke, and widened their eyes at the same time. I never thought I would meet a would release ninja here, and Sakura, Naruto, you're all here. Najira looked cold and spoke calmly, as if he wasn't the one tied up from beginning to end. So is Kakashi here too? Yamato stepped forward, and looked up at Najira. I'm sorry, Senior Kakashi didn't come, because of his health. I'm the replacement for Kakashi's team, and this time, I'm here to take you back to Konoha. Interesting, do you think you can do it? Najira's expression was still cold. He spread his right palm into a claw shape, and then clenched it fiercely. Boom. Flames emerged from the ground. The ground exploded instantly, and thick smoke billowed. A sinkhole was blown out of Orochimaru's secret base. In the sinkhole, there were Yamato, Hiruno Sakura, Karen, and Naruto. Najira stood above the sinkhole, his back to the sun, his left hand on his waist, looking down at the four people in the sinkhole. Stop, Sasuke, stop. Sakura shouted anxiously with tears in her eyes. Shut up. You're making so much noise. Najira looked at the four people one by one, and finally landed on Karen, and said in a cold voice, is this my substitute? What a cocky guy. Thinking so in her heart, Karen stepped forward, and greeted her with a smile. Hello, I'm Uzumaki Karen, the new member of Team 7. I think we should have met before. Please give me your advice. I don't remember, and I'm not interested. Najira interrupted Karen, and turned his eyes to Naruto. Naruto, do you remember what I told you before? I've wanted to fight you for a long time. At this point, Najira recalled the scene of Naruto fighting with Gaara, the tailed beast, and his pupils with 3 Megatama flashed with excitement. Naruto nodded, and suddenly said, but I won't fight you. Why? Najira frowned. Is this looking down on me? Or is it that he can't bear to attack his former companion? Either way, it is a humiliation for him, and Uchiha doesn't need this kind of charity. Because you are a companion I recognize. Naruto looked up, stared at Najira, and almost roared, today, no matter what, I will bring you back to the village. Najira's pupils suddenly shrank, and his mind recalled the past with Naruto. That was the happiest time for him after the extermination of the clan. For a moment, he really wanted to be with Naruto. But then, he remembered his brother Uchiha Itachi who killed the entire clan, and he was instantly furious. He came to Naruto in an instant. He put his left hand on Naruto's shoulder and slowly drew out the Kusanagi sword with his right hand. Naruto, isn't your dream to be Hokage? You have time to chase me here. You might as well practice well. How can a person who can't even save his companions become Hokage? Right, Sasuke. Naruto still stood there without any resistance. Since you are in so much pain, I will help you get rid of it, said Nahashi. He actually pulled out the Kusanagi sword completely and stabbed it towards Naruto's lower back. Sakura just watched, standing there, tears silently falling from the corners of her eyes. For a moment, she felt her mind go blank. Sasuke. By the time she reacted, it was too late to stop him. At the critical moment, Karen suddenly appeared and grabbed Nahashi's wrist holding the knife. And Naruto was not stupid. He took this opportunity to hug Nahashi's other hand. This way of defense is correct. It seems that you, the new member of Team 7, are not as weak as Sakura. Nahashi looked at Karen who grabbed his wrist, his mouth slightly raised, and there was no surprise on his face. Rather than saying that he was captured by Karen and Naruto, it would be better to say that he was captured by them on purpose, because he planned to perform Chidori style. However, before he could make a move, a huge force suddenly hit his right wrist, and at the same time, Karen's voice rang out, I'm not just a defense, I can attack. Naruto, squat down quickly. Naruto squatted down as he was told. While speaking, a white light flashed from Karen's back, and 5 chains burst out, circling in the air, and circling towards Sasuke, blocking his retreat. PS. First update, please recommend and vote for me. Thank you for the 10,000 starting coins rewarded by the author of Daoluo, Legend of the Spider Emperor, and I'll also recommend his book here. Chapter 249 Sakura. How can this guy have such great strength? Najira sighed, performed Chidori style, shook off Karen's hand that contained strange power, injected lightning chakra into Kusanagi sword, and retreated while slashing. Clang clang in the empty mine. Najira's figure kept flashing, and the Chidori blade in the diamond chain kept colliding. The high intensity friction of the metal caused sparks to burst out continuously. What surprised Najira was that the Chidori blade, which he thought was defenseless, seemed to have encountered a nemesis. Not only did it not cut off the chains, but the moment it touched the chains, the chakra on the Chidori blade was greatly suppressed and returned to the original Kusanagi sword form. What on earth is this thing? Najira's face suddenly became ugly. Then Karen said, Uchiha Inahashi, you are using Chidori blade now, injecting lightning chakra into the blade. And just now you were going to use Chidori style, covering your whole body with lightning to try to throw Naruto and me away, am I right? Inahashi didn't answer, but was tired of dodging those chains. His brows furrowed more and more. But Karen, as Tsunede's disciple, has been eating and sleeping with Chinatsu for 3 years, practicing together, and occasionally getting guidance from Chiya. But he has learned a lot of trash talk. He continued to mock. Too naive, although I don't know lightning escape, but Chinatsu does. Chinatsu? Inahashi's pupils suddenly shrank, and his mind recalled the scene of his defeat to Chinatsu 3 years ago. Compared to Chinatsu, your lightning release is just like a child's game. Karen knew the true meaning of Kainai's battle of taking advantage of your weakness to kill you. Taking advantage of the moment, when the second pillar was distracted, she controlled 5 diamond chains, and scattered them in all directions, blocking all the escape routes of the second pillar. Shut up. The second pillar was furious, and the curse seal on his left neck spread to his whole body, instantly turning on the second state of the curse seal. He spread his 2 huge wings, and crawled towards the diamond chain. However, he underestimated the power of the diamond chain. Faced with this diamond chain that could even bind the tailed beasts, almost instantly, the second state of the second pillar of the heavens curse seal was suppressed, and unable to move. Seeing that Karen had caught Sasuke so easily, Naruto was amazed, and quickly launched a mouth-to-mouth attack on Sasuke. Stop it, Sasuke, shut up. Sasuke was trembling and struggling hard. His face was quite embarrassed, and cold sweat was sliding down his temples. He was no longer as high-spirited as before. Don't be stubborn anymore, Sasuke. If you continue like this, you will die. You should know that Orochimaru is doing this for your health. Hearing this, Naruto was unwilling to give up, and wanted to continue to dissuade him. But he was interrupted by Najima again. His voice became colder and colder. Let it go. Now, whether it is me or Orochimaru, we will not be a match for that man. I'm an avenger. For me, as long as I can kill that man, I will not hesitate to merge with Orochimaru. If you insist on returning to Konoha, then you better be prepared to kill me. What a big tone. Do you really think that you can kill Uchiha Itachi by merging with Orochimaru? Too naive. Karen said, wrapping the diamond seal tighter. Najima was tied up like a knot, and his body lost its center of gravity and fell to the ground. Sasuke. Seeing Sasuke fall to the ground, Sakura, who had never taken action from the beginning to the end, finally reacted and walked up quickly. Karen looked at Sakura speechlessly, then turned her gaze to Yamato. Captain Yamato, I'll leave it to you next. Orochimaru and Kabuto are coming here now. We have to leave quickly. I know. Yamato nodded and formed seals with his hands, would release. Before he finished speaking, Sakura, who had just gone to visit Sasuke, suddenly stood up, half lowered her head, her eyes covered by shadows, and punched Karen. Sakura, what are you doing? Yamato was shocked when he saw this, and the wood release that was supposed to be used to restrain Sasuke was turned to Sakura, restraining her fists. Sakura, what are you doing? Naruto shouted. What else can he do? He's fallen into Sasuke's illusion. Karen was a little angry because although Sakura didn't learn illusion, she had an illusion talent that ordinary people couldn't match, possessing the ability to remove illusions. Logically speaking, with Sasuke's 3 Megatama, he shouldn't be able to control her easily. Now that she is controlled, there is only one explanation. She was controlled on purpose. Haha, yes, he was indeed caught in my illusion. This idiot, knowing that I have the Sharingan, he actually looked me in the eye. Hearing what Karen said, Najirusa, who was tied to the ground, suddenly laughed and ridiculed unscrupulously. The Sharingan is really hard to guard against. Naruto, quickly hold Sakura down. I'll remove the illusion for her. Yamato also roughly guessed that Sakura was caught in Najirusa's illusion on purpose and said with a headache, I know. Naruto nodded. However, before the two of them could get close, Sakura's other hand that was not bound by the wood release suddenly clamped her neck. Najiru said coldly, don't try to get close to this woman, or I will kill her. Sasuke, you are crazy. She is Sakura, our companion. She is for you. Naruto heard this and shouted anxiously. Stop talking nonsense. I'm an Avenger. I have no obligation to like her, nor to be liked by her. If you know what's good for you, let me go. Otherwise, I will kill this stupid woman. At this point, Najiru tightened his control over Sakura's hand, and Sakura's neck made a crisp bone cracking sound. Sakura. Naruto hurriedly shouted to stop. Then let this red-haired woman let me go. Sasuke said indifferently. Hearing this, Naruto and Yamato looked at Karen at the same time. Karen sighed helplessly and loosened the diamond chain that bound Najiru. Najiru took the opportunity to jump above the pit. You win today, but there will be no next time. Next time, I will kill you without hesitation. After saying that, Nobushiko turned into smoke with a bang and disappeared from everyone's sight. At this time, Sakura finally regained consciousness, fell to her knees on the ground with a plop, gasping for breath. After catching her breath, she looked around and said loudly, Where's Sasuke? Where's Sasuke? The three did not answer. Naruto knelt on the ground in despair, with tears in his heart for not being able to get Nobushiko back. Karen and Yamato looked at each other, with helplessness and disappointment in their eyes, which was for Sakura. This time, the mission was a complete failure. Above the Shiankeng, Kainai and Yikang saw the battle between Nobushiko and Karen. Looking at Nobushiko's embarrassed escape, Kainai showed an unkind smile on his face. It seems that Nobushiko was defeated quite miserably. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me chapter 250. Chinatsu joins team 7. Sakura becomes a stranger. Master Kainai, what on earth is that chain? It can actually suppress chakra. Yikang asked with a solemn expression. He felt threatened from the chains. Kainai smiled faintly and explained. That is the unique ability of the Uzumaki clan, King Khan Blockade. When used, multiple chakra chains extend from the back. It can not only be used as a powerful offensive weapon, but also can be used to create barriers. The power depends on due to the size of the chakra. Even the half-tailed beast Naruto can easily suppress it, let alone the 2 pillars of the curse seal. That's really a powerful technique. Yikang exclaimed. Okay, I finished watching the play, and the purpose of this trip has been achieved. It's time to go back. Kainai nodded, stretched out his right hand, put it on Yikang's shoulder, used Flying Thunder God, and disappeared. 10 days later, Konoha Village. Hokage's office. Those present were Yamato, Naruto, Iruno Sakura, and Koru. At Tsunade-sama, this is the general story of the matter. Yamato nodded and stood at attention, reporting the entire matter to Tsunade. Xianglin lowered his head, feeling annoyed that he had not spoken to Kainai. Naruto and Sakura were also upset, but the slightly different thing was that they were upset that they didn't catch Sasuke back. I really didn't expect things to develop like this. After listening to Yamato's report, Tsunade leaned on the desk, feeling tired for a while. How could it be so good that that guy got involved with Orochimaru again? Yamato nodded. Yes, Tsunade-sama. According to the situation at that time, if Fujiwara Kainai takes action, Naruto who loses his mind is likely to be captured by Kainai. But looking at the situation at the time, Fujiwara Kainai seems not only that, but this time the Akatsuki organization specially sent him to kill Orochimaru. Instead of following the order, he used it to threaten Orochimaru, and he got the information from the wooden escape clone at that time. Look, Fujiwara Chiya seemed to have threatened Orochimaru more than once, and Orochimaru was helpless. That one of the legendary Sennin seems to be afraid of Chiya. But in general, the Akatsuki organization did not imagine it. Such unity is a blessing in misfortune. Threatening Orochimaru is really in line with that guy's style. Tsunade sighed helplessly and turned to Sakura, her face suddenly serious. Sakura, aren't you going to say something? Tsunade-sama, I'm sorry. Sakura's eyes became darker and darker. She knew that the main reason for the failure of this mission was herself. I'm not blaming you. Tsunade sighed softly and said seriously, I just hope to make it clear that the lives of my companions must be put first at all times. Blame her? The person looked at Sakura with a blank expression and asked in confusion, what is going on? Yamato explained from the side, Sakura has the ability to dispel illusions. With Sasuke's Sharingan, even if she is trapped in an illusion, she will never be able to control her freely. So, you should understand, right? Naruto exclaimed, doesn't that mean Sasuke was let go on purpose by Sakura? Tsunade said, okay, that's the end of this matter. Sakura, you go back and have a good rest for a while. From tomorrow on, you will report to the medical class. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Sakura responded with a lost voice. Turn around and walk out of the Hokage's office. Why are you doing this, mother-in-law Tsunade? Naruto looked at Tsunade. Is it because of this incident that Sakura should be kicked out of class 7? Sasuke has already left. In this case, the original class 7 will completely cease to exist. No, it's not because of this. Tsunade shook her head. Shizune, who was standing behind Tsunade, was worried that Naruto would misunderstand, so she quickly explained, actually, this matter was already decided when you went on the mission to recapture the Kazekage. Then why is this? Naruto puzzled. Because including me, Team 7 has 2 medical ninjas. You must also know the importance of medical ninjas to a team. Medical ninjas are scarce at any time. There are many teams, and even there are no medical ninjas. It was Xianglin who spoke. Then why don't you go? Naruto said without thinking. However, before Naruto could finish his words, Xianglin's fist left a big bump on his head. Idiot, you think I'm willing to be with you, an idiot? Yamato explained with lingering fear. Naruto, after experiencing this battle between Tenchi Bridge and Orochimaru, you must have understood the importance of Xianglin. Naruto's pupils suddenly shrank with steam on his head, and he recalled the scene of his rampage in his mind. Frightened, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Then he subconsciously asked, so who is the new member of our 7th team? It's me. The ethereal voice suddenly echoed, and when everyone reacted, they heard a bang, the smoke dissipated, and Kyangsha's hands appearing on the Hokage's office desk with his arms crossed. Chinatsu? Everyone's eyes widened with disbelief on their faces, especially Naruto. He had never seen Chinatsu fight against Uchiha Itachi due to the Jinjutsu. He was stunned and pointed at Chinatsu. Grandma Tsunade, have you ever what a mistake? He turned out to be such a brat. Chinatsu is not an ordinary brat. She is very strong, Tsunade said with a smile. Hearing this, Yamato, who was the acting captain of Team 7, felt bitter in his heart for a moment, and said with some hesitation, Hokage-sama, I once heard Kakashi-senpai mention Chinatsu's outstanding performance in the task of retrieving the Kazekage, but in the future what we are going to face is a powerful Akatsuki member. Chinatsu is still so young. Is it possible? It is precisely because we will face Akatsuki in the future that I want Chinatsu to enter class 7. Tsunade looked at Naruto sternly. People here. Naruto stood at attention. Tsunade said solemnly, I must have experienced this battle with Sasuke, and you should know the gap between you and him. Yes. Naruto swallowed, his heart full of unwillingness. Tsunade continued, so from today on, you will practice with Chinatsu, try to improve the Rasengan, and turn it into your own ninjutsu. Let Chinatsu teach me. Naruto was stunned. That, Grandma Tsunade, are you sure you don't mean Mr. Kakashi? Of course. Chinatsu is very strong. She is truly proficient in the 5 release ninjutsu. Tsunade nodded with a mysterious smile on her face. But considering there is a possibility of losing control of the Ninetales chakra in the body. I will let Yamato and Zyangrin watch from the side. In addition, Kakashi will also provide help to you. The next step is up to you. While speaking, Chinatsu actually took it seriously. In front of everyone, he made a small spiral shuriken PS. First update. Please recommend and vote. Please vote monthly end of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.